Alright, we're gonna cut that song short. We're here, we're back.
Welcome to Greatest League Talkshow pre-show. So a lot of people are joining us. The pre-show is the show where we wait for MarkZ to arrive from, where's he arriving from?
From the studio. Come on, he's from the analyst desk. What kind of question is that?
Dude, I'm setting you up to help me carry the intro.
Oh, to carry the intro? Well, welcome guys to the Greatest League Talk Show. Before Mark gets here, yeah, we're just gonna, talk about random things, like Math Rock, which I had put on for you guys. Chan, you guys should check out that band out. It's really good.
Yeah, actually, Josh puts out such great stuff that, like, usually what happens is when our show starts, people just compliment me on my music taste. They're just like, you know what? Scarra has great music taste. And I'm like the guy who has, like, actually no musical taste at all. And so whenever I get compliments like that, I'm just like, yeah, I do. I am really good. I just take it.
Just take, credit for my work, just like the show, right?
Yes.
Anyways, so we actually have some topics that we wanted to go through. Actually, before we get into that, have you watched Boku no Hero Academia?
I don't watch it. I used to read it, but
okay,
I don't know I don't know where it's on. I dropped. Have they done like the sports?
Yeah, they're past the sports festival.
Oh,
they're like doing like, it's like still kind of going on. They're doing like a tournament thing, kind of like the tuning exams for Naruto. And oh my god, today's episode was so good. So if any of you guys are watching that show, you guys know what I'm talking about. Oh, it's so good. Anyways, we'll get on to the topics. So we're going to bring this back to League of Legends because that's what this show is all about. Start off with the Origin Challenger team announcement, which was hilarious. Holy moly.
So for people who don't know, go to Origin's Twitter right now. It's at OriginGG. And look at how they announced their team.
Yeah.
It's actually like... I don't have anything against the players. In fact, I don't even know the players. I hear the players are actually pretty good.
Okay, yeah. I've never really heard of them.
I've never heard of them, never met them before in my life. But just the way that they announced it, just like the design of the graphic is so bad. It's like one of the worst graphics I've ever seen in the 5 to 7 years I've been in this scene.
Yeah, Origin, we're going to help you out. We're going to direct traffic to your guys' Twitter because I just want everyone to know exactly how ugly this thing is. So it's like they have this like weird thing where they have all the players in like little bubbles in the thing. And then for some reason, they just decided like that's all of our graphics budget. I guess we can't afford fonts. And so they just like use Arial or something. It's just like, and then they use like I forgot what the 4 words are. It's like
improvement,
motivation,
something and something.
And then it's like
work,
team. Yeah.
Not even good work, just work.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah. It is some bad stuff. Like I know something's bad when I look at it and I'm just like, wow. My BTR production's better than this.
Yeah, motivation.
Instantly see that, I'm like, oh. And the funniest thing is that when they did tweet it, immediately Immortals like tweeted out a response that just like had their own team in there as well.
Yeah, no, it's the best part about it was all the other teams, like even the ones that weren't in the LCS, like freaking Tempo Storm got in there.
They just mess with it. Yeah. They know it's funny. It's actually so funny.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys, it's better than our design, This is our new design.
No, I was just talking to Josh about this. I love our logo. Like the way that like the person did our logo assets is just great.
Yeah.
Especially on the starting screen, I saw that. I'm just like, he got it, dude. This guy, he's just too good.
Yeah. I mean, our name might suck, but at least our like logo and text looks good.
Dude, our name, people just don't like the name because they're not used to it. At the end of the split, they're just like, I love Greatest League Talk Show. That's what they're going to say.
Yeah. Oh, I just realized that the thing isn't centered, huh? I wonder if that's because... Wait, what if I do this?
Uh-oh.
Oh, God.
Then we can't read it.
Yeah, then we can't read it. This is... Yeah, there's no way. You guys just have to type in really short sentences that we can see it on screen.
That's going to be, yeah. If you guys can't read it, it's your own fault.
Yeah. You guys just get to see your guys' name on screen, and that'll be it. So anyways, yeah, the announcement for the Challenger team was hilarious.
Oh, God. Okay.
People should just learn to make better graphics.
Okay. So we're going on to the big thing, right?
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna say this because it's obviously someone on camera right now is involved.
That's me.
So for those people who haven't heard this yet, and I don't know who you guys have to be living under a rock to not have heard about this, but the meme stream dream team got signed up by Echo Fox, and it is comprised of
me, Scarra, mid lane extraordinaire, Shifter, mid lane extraordinaire, Voy, that Yasuo Akali player, Dyrus, that top laner, best in history from TSM. I'm a cutie pie, #1 streamer, godlike AD carry. 5 people.
And so I remember when you told me about this, I was just like, oh my god, this is gonna break Challenger scene.
Yeah, and then when I told him about it, I still wasn't sure if it was happening. Like for me specifically, I didn't know it was gonna happen until a couple of days beforehand. Like it's not something where it's like, oh, I knew for months or I'd known the idea was a possibility, but people throw ideas at me all the time. Like stuff that goes from like ideas to actual concepts that work are like 1 in 10 or like 1 in 20, and it just so happened that like the very last minute, this worked out.
So you guys have 3 mid laners. Do you even know who's going where yet?
No, the thing is, people keep asking us, and I honestly don't know. Like, I think we're going to go through an experimental phase where we play against teams where we will try people at positions until we find out what we like. And so I think we figured out what we're going to do first week.
Oh, okay.
But I don't even know if that's really set in stone. And so, like, our first games are this next Wednesday against a team that hasn't been announced yet, but internally we know who it is. And they're a pretty good team. So it's just like, I looked at who we're playing against, so I'm just like, oh, this is such a funny team to play against.
Oh my god. Well, that's just hilarious. I mean, so are you guys considered Delta Fox?
Yeah, like, so because...
Wow, Miles, you ruined everything.
Because they want us to be under their brand, our official name is Delta Fox. Yeah. We were hoping we could rename it to stuff like those old
dream team,
those old guys,
the retirement home. Yeah,
all of those things sound great, but you know what? We're Delta Fox. It's not a big deal.
Hey, you should sign up this guy. You guys need a support player.
No,
I heard he once Blitzcrank hooked a person who was taking a lantern.
Oh,
in LCS.
Ooh.
I heard that's his only contribution to society.
Wait, he has been in more LCS finals than most players.
Yeah, actually.
Daydreaming is retired, but not forgotten.
Wait, because TSM and C9 have consistently been in the finals so many times, I feel like the number of players outside those organizations who've been in the finals
less than 20, less than 30 players. I think Miles in a very, very selective group of people.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, actually.
Yeah. Who is Daydreaming?
Okay, he is the support for GGU back when in the first season of LCS, him, Zion, Nintendo X, Shifter, and I don't even remember the AD. Was it Zig? I think it was Mash.
No, it was Mash. Yeah.
They made the finals against TSM and they lost, but still they made the finals in the first ever split.
Yeah.
So aside from them, only 3 other teams have ever made the finals.
They were like the young blood too. All of them were like 16 years old at the time.
Yeah, and they were. It was crazy, actually.
People should just like go look at like old pictures of what Darshan used to look like.
Is it funny?
It's so funny. He looks like he aged like 20 years. I guess that's what LCS will do to you. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else to talk about with this team? Like,
I mean, okay. Well, so a lot of people are asking me. It's like, okay, well, what's the team for?
Yeah.
Well, it's like a good the way I see it is like a fun way to do like a good last hurrah before franchising occurs. So this is only possible this split. Like this wasn't a possibility next split or any split after because right now they're doing franchising and there aren't relegations anymore. So Challenger essentially becomes extinct after this split. And so this is the final run for the old guys.
So you guys are
even if we win
playing for pride?
For fun and for pride. Even if we win, we get first in Challenger. We are not allowed to go up because we have a team in LCS, the actual Echo Fox. And so it goes down to the second place team. Or if they have a team, it goes down to the third place team. if there was promotion relegations, which I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't even think there are.
I don't think they haven't really announced like what they're doing with the challenger scene.
Yeah. So exactly. So technically, I can win or we can win, but we can't go into a promotion tournament. It would just automatically default to the next.
Should have just done what FlyQuest did, you know, like, well, I guess without promotion relegation. You know, when relegations and stuff existed, like, someone should have just made a farm team, like. Just like get teams into LCS and sell it off and just do it over and over.
That's Saint Vicious. Literally, Saint. Yeah. That's literally what Saint's entire like job was like. Okay, we're gonna go coast and we're gonna use Chris, which is like a monster top laner and challenger. Always beats everyone, and he will be our backbone. He's the
gatekeeper to the LCS.
Yeah, he'll be our linchpin to like win every single promotion relegation tournament in. And like, yeah, dude, Saint did that. He did that a lot.
Also, another person on the show is also involved. MarkZ is your guys' lead analyst.
Oh, it's so funny too because like I think we couldn't have gotten like a better person to help the team because immediately the first day we have a big Skype chat now, which by the way just has the dumbest stuff. Like getting the Skype, imagine at least 200 messages a day and 150 of them are from Voyboy. Cutie says 2 lines. Danny respond, and then like Dyrus responds a little bit, but it's like literally 150 messages from Voyboy. and Mark just comes in. He's like, okay, so what do you guys want me to do? I could do any of these 3 jobs and do any of these things, or I could do nothing. And we're just like, okay, we want you to do these things. He's like, okay, I can do that. But like it's really nice because he's like, okay, how serious do you guys want to be? Do you want me to do draft for you guys? Do you want me to do this for you guys? Bam, pick scouting. And we're just like, oh yeah, dude, we love this. But, like, I don't know if we're serious enough to be doing this kind of stuff.
Right.
And I think we'd rather go like more free flowing on this. And so he's a really good guy to work with.
He can't be coach though, right?
Right. The reason why he wasn't announced for head coach is because he can't be. It would be a conflict of interest since he casts the Challenger Scene games.
Right.
So he will actually be casting our games while we're playing.
Well, I hear there's someone who else is on the show that maybe could just fill in and be on stage with you guys.
I think only the finals match is on stage.
All right, you guys got to get to the finals so that I can just be the figurehead. I'll just like hold up 2 fidget spinners and meditate while you guys do your draft.
I want to quote Mark on this. It would be. I think he would say it would be a miracle for you guys to get there.
Well, now you guys have to do it.
I'm not saying you're wrong. You got it, dude.
Oh my god! I just want this whole thing to be as like memey and like disgusting as possible.
It's so funny because I thought about the actual strategies that we can do, and like each of us has like a weird pocket off-roll pick that's just like really good. So for instance, Shifter's Jarvan jungle.
Oh, yeah.
He literally does the cheesiest game. He level 2's mid every...
Oh, you're announcing your strategies.
Oh, my bad. Well,
you should say it anyways.
He level 2's mid like every game. And then he gets the other buff and level 3's mid. It's actually... And it works like 90% of the time. You have Dyrus, who has an 80% win rate on Scion support. Just completely random. It carried him to Challenger on all of his accounts, apparently. That's what he told me. I just play like a really, really specific... Like, I'll play like... random stuff. Like I can play like Gragas top, I can play like Gragas jungle, I can play like Bard support. Like I'll play like anything random, and so I'm probably the most flexible when it comes to Phil. And then Voy has just like random pocket picks like Yasuo, where he's just like, dude, let me go AD one game.
This is like, how confident Scarra is on his team. He's just announcing all the fucking all your guys' pocket picks. Oh man.
I mean, if a team is gonna try,
you know that Tony's in here, right? He's like taking notes.
If Tony is gonna be scouting us for his challenger team, he can do that because his team went 2-0 this week. What did I even say? He doesn't need to work on LCS anymore, man.
Yeah. Well, you can be the new Dyrus, I guess, for leaking all your strats.
Jesus, you already got one, dude.
Yeah.
Wait till you see me put him on tanks every game.
Oh boy. Oh man, yeah. I think that's like the biggest announcement in the league for the last few weeks. Feels like it's been pretty slow. Like there wasn't even anything like cool in the off season to like be like, oh my god, you know.
Right, and apparently it was just really hard to because no one was willing to like trade players.
Yeah,
and there wasn't any superstar talent that like because you can't even make talent. Usually, like like growing talent takes like a split.
Yeah.
And they don't have time for that. They're pushing for Worlds.
Because Worlds is
and
right
so
around the corner.
finding like established players who are good that also are free agents, super hard.
Oh no. By the way, the whole ᵐᵉᵐᵉ thing really makes me sad.
Oh, yeah, it's so depressing. I was just like, okay, dude, he's missing week 1 of EU LCS. I understand he needs some time.
Yeah.
And then like LO Esports and him push out a thing where it's just like, look, I'm gone for an indefinite amount of time due to like recent things that happened. I'm just like, this sucks, dude. EU LCS lost one of their like premier casters to like some like personal drama that's just like kind of really shady, like really, really scummy.
Yeah, I think it's so bad. This is why I don't, do anything with 3D girls. It's all about 2D for me.
Oh my god.
No, but actually though, like the whole thing with nudes in general and like Snapchat and stuff, it sucks because like, if you are in like a relationship or whatever with somebody over online and like whatever, it's there should be some mutual trust. But like if you're famous, if you're in the public eye at all, you have to be like triple, quadruple more
like
careful than the average person.
Times,
yeah, like no one will care if someone leaks Bruja 92's nudes.
Except for maybe him.
And
even then.
Like, but now, like, we get to juicy stuff. We get to Scarra's nudes. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, God damn, I want some of that.
Jesus.
Miles knows what he wants.
Scarra nudes.
Yeah, no, as like more of a public figure, it's something that like, I'm just like, okay. It kind of makes relationships a little bit hard. Not the sending nudes part, but the part where it's like even like revealing too much about yourself. It's like, oh, you have to nitpick the logs and be like, well, can they use this against me?
Yeah,
Sometimes
exactly.
it's just really, it's like a thing in the back of the head that you don't want to think about. Because if you think about it, it's hard to be like, to really put yourself out there, and you have to grow, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's shitty, but at the same time, stay safe. Rule number 1 about nudes, guys. Probably don't show your face if you're really, trying to be careful. I don't know.
Or just Photoshop Josh's face onto it. Honestly.
No! Oh my god, please don't do that.
Like,
just knowing that would exist somewhere in the world upsets me.
If you want, just that's like the double protection. Because it's not, because then people are just like, it can't be me because it's this other guy.
Oh god. Alright. Chat wants Miles' nudes. Hey Miles!
He's bounced, dude.
Yeah, he's gone.
He jumped off the balcony
a
couple seconds ago. Alright, what else are we talking about?
Alright, so the other thing that we got on the list. Oh, E3's happening next week.
Oh, I actually didn't know it was this soon, but this is the first year E3 will ever be open to the public at the cost of an arm and a leg, from what I understand.
Yeah, I think it's like
$400.
Is it $400?
From what I understand, for exhibitor hall passes, it's about $300 to $400.
So okay, man, that's crazy. So you've been to E3 a couple times, right?
Oh, like every year, or of the last 5, I've been 4.
Yeah, it's something like that for me too. Like I've been to the last few E3, and I feel like progressively each year
it gets worse.
Well, it gets worse, and then more open to the public too. Like I feel like more. It used to be like this kind of hush hush industry thing, and not saying that started 5 years ago because it started way before then, but like. It feels like it's gotten not as fun to be at, Like, I get bored so fast at E3.
Oh, I completely understand, because it used to be the thing where, like, everyone just showed off their best stuff. It's it's literally just like a dick measuring contest
for all the publishers
it's like,
and game developers.
It's like, okay, like, because it's so funny. People judge and rate, like, the conferences. Like, okay, Xbox just released their conference. What did they drop? They announced
10 out of 10.
Yeah, they announced
Halo 5.
Halo 5 and 6 remake of Halo 1 in HD.
Destiny 3.
Yeah, like Halo 2's PvP coming online, and it's like perfect score. Yeah, it's like Nintendo announces their next Zelda.
Yeah.
Perfect score.
Oh my god! Like people are just like jizzing their pants in the audience.
It's straight. It always felt like they'd be crazy about that, but now when you look at every publisher, they have their own platform.
Yeah, like Nintendo Direct.
And that's a great example. I think is it every other month? It's like something like that.
I think it's just random. I don't know if there's a regular schedule. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just feels random to me. It's like when they have something to announce, they just
it does feel really random, and like that way they're able to control like where it's pushed out, and they don't have to save everything for like a big release once a year. They just do it like a couple times a year, and I like it better that way. But definitely it makes E3 itself. It was
special.
Yeah, it was the thing where literally when I was younger, I loved E3. All the game announcements. It was the coolest shit.
It was like the one-stop thing to know what's going to happen in like the next year.
Yeah, and it was something where I was like, when I grow up, I want to go to E3 one year. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get in, but I go. And now it's like, you can get in now, and I'll be there. I'll probably be doing like autographs. I think I'm going with a sponsor there to do some stuff, but like, it doesn't feel like as great as it was. But maybe that's just like rose tinted goggles coming in.
Yeah, it might be just that we're jaded or something. And yeah, I'll be at E3 as well. I'm doing a segment producing for one of the broadcasts, so I'll be working it.
Try to guess which one.
You can't. I'm doing all of it. I'm actually doing a lot of the big publishers, which is actually really cool. This is like my first time actually doing producing for like a big thing outside of Riot, so I'm pretty excited about it. But yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. God damn, we went through the topics. Oh, I didn't start the mark timer. I have no idea how long.
Oh, because usually we just time them. It's like a stopwatch.
Yeah, we usually have a timer. Yeah, we're just waiting for Mark. Honestly, it just takes forever.
Yeah, usually Mark gets here really quickly, but on Saturdays it's a little bit longer because he sometimes has a meeting to go to after the show to be able to discuss like how it's going.
Yeah. Oh my god, if they announce Melee HD.
I feel like you've said that for every
time there's a Nintendo Direct, it's so funny. The Smash Bros. Subreddit is like, there's the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
It could be the way they announce Melee HD. And like, and of course it never happens.
Yeah, like if it does happen, it'll be the biggest blow up ever. But the way I see it is like, God, Smash 4 is making them so much money.
Yeah, actually. No, Smash 4, just like
it's such a big success because they're able to just sell so much off of it.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like they're looking at Melee, it's like what can they sell?
Yeah, you just have the game. I guess like GameCube controllers, but Smash 4 does that too. Yeah, there's really nothing. Because like the DLC characters in Smash 4 are really popular, right? Like Cloud being like a giant thing. Like I thought they were trolling, honestly, when they announced Cloud. I was like, well,
I mean, they also have like Bayonetta.
Yeah,
like, all these characters. You're just like, whoa.
Bayonetta makes a little more sense to me because like they're like kind of tertiary, like related with Nintendo and stuff. But like Cloud. Like I guess
that was
made Final Fantasy,
and that was a great one to announce. Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about some of the new fighting games.
Eric Kaiba, brought up Tekken 7. Okay, so I know you like Tekken.
Okay, so I used to grow up on playing 2 games. I used to play Smash. It was the last year in high school. All I did all day was go to school. But as soon as I got accepted to my college, school didn't matter anymore. I finished my AP exams. I finished schooling. As long as I didn't fail all my classes, it was fine. I got to where I wanted. So after school every day, I'd go over to my friend's house for like 4 to 5 hours. We'd just play fighting games. We'd play 2 games, Tekken and Smash. That's it.
Yeah.
And like I've been like a decent, like more of a low key Tekken fan for a while. I hear Tekken 7 is really good, but I've watched some people play it, and I'm just like, it just feels so weird that Akuma's in the game and just has he just has like fireballs. So there's full screen fireball coverage, which isn't even good in the game because you can sidestep it, and he has supers. So I watched the game, and I'm just like, what game am I watching? It's messed up.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird mashup, just because like having a 2D fighting character in a 3D one, like are fireballs even good in a 3D fighter like that?
No,
like if you can sidestep them?
Yeah.
So I don't know. But everyone has been really hyped about Tekken 7 because just in general, people are saying that it might be the best Tekken since Tekken Tag Tournament, which was
my favorite Tekken.
I love that game. I played the shit out of it.
Yeah, I played it a lot, dude. I literally went to there's arcades in China, and it's when I was out vacationing, I spent a couple of days in huge arcades and just played that game mainly. Yeah. I got my ass kicked because people there are really good.
Well, I remember just like really, really broken stuff in Tekken where you just get air juggled by Hwoarang forever. And
Yeah,
you just
but
die.
it'd be fun. It'd be so much fun.
Yeah. Game was really fun. Dead or Alive. Oh my god. Did you ever play Dead or Alive?
I actually thought it had a very unique system.
So people really like that game, but I just love how it devolved into just booby physics. That's pretty much it.
But I actually, when I played the game, I was like, this game is like made like an actual fighter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good mechanics.
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be taken a little more seriously, and then people just turned it into Titty Simulator number 3.
Yeah, but up
Yeah,
until it got to
baseball
that
ball.
point, it was great.
Yeah.
And speaking about good fighters, I've been watching a decent amount of Injustice 2 on Twitch over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And this is coming from someone who very rarely watches Twitch streams in general. Injustice 2 is something that I like too. I watch it, I'm just like, whoa, you know, it looks cool, you know. I'm starting to get back into fighters with Evo coming up, and I'm feeling it, you know. I'm going to be watching Evo all year this year, 100%.
Yeah. I don't know
All
if I'm...
day.
I don't even know if this year I'm going to go to Evo, unfortunately. I wish... Whoa.
Every time I see
Whoa.
Tony type something in chat, dude, Tony's only here. We're gonna cut this out. Tony's only here because his team went 2-0.
Yeah, he's just waiting.
Yeah,
He's
he wants
got
to,
one hand down his pants. He's just like, yeah, tell me how good my team is. Tell me how good my
yeah,
team is.
and really, I'm just gonna slam his team because God,
Oh.
are you serious, Tony? That level 1, the other game. Come, I want a reaction cam on you and Plup backstage when that stuff happens, because when it happens, the world needs to know how you react. Because I know how you react. That was one of the moments where I was like, "Give me a reaction cam." Tony must be fuming. He must be so mad. Tell me how much. Tell me I'm lying, Tony. 100%.
Sounds like Tony just wants you to rank the number 1. Although power
That's
rankings are
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So today, we should talk about what happens at the end of the show today. So
Oh, yeah.
or for the most part, all of our Saturday shows have a have a Q&A at the very end where we'll just be answering questions. Any random questions that you guys may have, we'll just pick and choose whatever. So that'll be happening at the very end of the show after we go over all the games from Friday and Saturday.
Yep. Where's Mark? Someone call Mark. Can someone please? I'm pretty sure his DMs are open. I just want all of you guys to DM Mark. Where are you?
Oh, usually Mark's here by now. Like I feel like we've talked.
We've been live for 40 minutes. This reminds me of like the first couple times we were doing PLT, RIP post league time, and we would have to just talk about random things for like over an hour. Do you remember?
Yeah. I thought he'd be here by now. What's my favorite Twitch emote? What's your favorite Twitch emote?
Twitch emote. I'm a big fan of Craigasm or PogChamp. Those are both great.
I actually like the Baby Rage stuff.
Baby Rage is really funny.
Because you just get all the funny stuff that happens. It's like Doublelift dies in game and people are just like the little phone thing and the Baby Rage. Hey, and it's like calling hi. Hey, hi, we want Turtle back.
Yeah.
Actually,
Baby Rage is definitely so funny because of the way people use it.
Yeah. It's something where like if I see that in chat, I'm just like, man, dude, come on.
Yeah.
I'm not that mad. I'm a little bit mad. I hate Tony, dude. We had an intelligent discussion, very intelligent discourse, and Tony comes in. He's like, "Haha, guys, what's your favorite Twitch emote?" And all of a sudden, dude, it just devolves.
What food should I get to eat tonight? Asked Tony.
Dude, come over here. I'll take you guys out to Rory Sushi, man. It's
Rory
good.
Sushi?
Rory Sushi.
How far is it from you?
It's like 20 minutes.
20 minutes? Yeah, not bad, not bad.
It's a good deal, Tony. The place is really good. I definitely didn't drop like a lot. Last time we went with the house, it was really expensive. Oh my god, it's so good though.
I haven't had good sushi in a really long time.
Oh, it is excellent. Oh, Frag is in the chat. I'm on my way.
So what are your thoughts on Melee Netplay? It's amazing. It's actually so good.
Do you play it a lot?
I play occasionally. Every now and then when I'm really bored, I'll go up on Netplay and like. So for people who don't know, for some games like Melee or N64 Smash, there's no online client obviously, but there's Dolphin, which is an emulator, and people have created their own online matchmaking kind of thing. It doesn't obviously put you in a queue and like randomly match you up with people. You just see like a list and you can ping them. But it works really well if you live really close to the person. And me and Mark actually, back when Mark used to live in Las Vegas, we'd play Melee together, and the lag wasn't that bad. So Netplay's really good. I highly recommend. Basically everyone in SoCal is on Netplay now because there's so much good competition here.
I would know nothing about that.
Oh, Yellow Sub's in here. Yep. Weeb Weekend. My stream is watching Koe no Katachi.
Really?
Yeah.
That's something I'm going to be watching.
So basically, in the last year, there's been crazy good anime.
Oh, we're going to go. Oh, do we have enough time for this? We need a couple hours.
Yeah.
All right, keep going. Keep going.
So obviously, everyone has heard of Kimi no Na wa, or Your Name. And that movie did really, really well. But basically, right after, around the same time, was a Koe no Katachi, which I think translates to a silent voice or a shape of voice.
Because she can't.
Because she can speak. She's deaf.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I watched it on my own. Oh my god, the movie is beautifully animated. It's by KyoAni. They animated the movie, Kyoto Animation.
What did they also animate?
They've animated. God, I need to see the list, but they were really, really good. Yeah, so a lot of the people are saying that the manga is better, and yeah, you're not wrong, but the movie did a really good job. I love how people are like, anime is so divisive. Some people love it.
It's
because
of the extremes, man. Like when I read manga, I didn't tell people, "Hey, dude, I read manga. You read manga, dude? You should."
Let me tell you about my wife.
Yeah,
it's like, oh
dude.
God,
it's just like the ultimate extremes that make you be like, I don't want to associate with people. Like that.
Me and Mark are probably gonna do a skit about weebs pretty soon, and it's just so funny that, like, when I was in high school, we had an anime club, and I loved anime in high school.
You didn't go to it.
I didn't go to it.
Yeah,
because it was like the people were too weird. I just,
That's what I'm saying. It's just at the very extremes. It's true for everything, but I feel like anime gets specifically targeted because on the extremes of anime, it's
the extremes are really, really just.
It's really bad,
man. Like people make jokes about like the white dude with the samurai sword and stuff. That stuff actually happens. That's the thing.
The best is the people running with Naruto like behind the back.
Oh my god!
When Naruto was actually big in the States and people did that, when I saw that, I was like, you know what? I don't know those people. If I probably didn't know them in the first place. I don't know those people.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. So suddenly you're like talking with your friend and you're like, oh yeah, Naruto's a pretty good show, and then you see some guy running like this, and you're like, actually, the show's not great.
Yeah.
Don't really like it.
I really like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. Ooh, what a great show. I like True Detective and other shows that are about real people and things.
The worst stuff is like those shows are actually great, but they're definitely judge a lot. I don't know how weird you could be about Game of Thrones. It's just like not possible.
Well, I think that fantasy in general has gotten way more mainstream than, say, anime has.
That is true.
Because, like, I could not have imagined... Yeah, I don't know what, like, kind of started it, I guess. Harry Potter was a little bit there with the fantasies sort of mixed in with reality sort of thing, and I think that kind of helped propel things forward. But, like, I remember when, fantasy stuff was just not very mainstream. I don't know. Movies weren't really about that. I don't know. Maybe
it probably was.
Star Wars is a good...
Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter kind of pushed the genre more into mainstream.
Yeah. And now it's some of the most widely watched things ever.
Yeah. Anime will eventually get to that point. Now,
I think it's already getting there.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't expect so... Like, Riot has done market research on the audience of who watches what for people who play League of Legends, and obviously some of the top shows are some of like the HBO stuff, right? Game of Thrones, The Flash, that sort of thing. But also very high up there is anime.
Well, I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah. I guess League is for weebs. I mean, people got so excited about the Star Guardian lineup.
Oh
I guess it doesn't really surprise me.
Just printing money with that one, man.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it come out, I was like, you don't need this trailer for this. You don't need the splash page.
Yeah.
You really just need like Lux, Lux on and selling her on the pillow. And it's it. Yeah. Instant money.
Instant money. Mark Merrill and Brandon Beck are in a conference room like, oh, man, League. We didn't make as much money as we did last quarter. What should we do? Release an Ari skin.
Yeah, that's
great. Push the button.
It's actually so true. And then you have champions like Yorick, which no one plays, except for like one person in the world.
I bet if they made a weeb Yorick skin, it would do really well.
I think at this point, any Yorick skin would do really well. Like Yorick
No. There's like 2 people in the whole universe who play.
Yeah, but people will build it up because they'll be like, wow, this is the first Yorick skin in years. They care about us, and people would just buy out of pity.
It's still not. You need to make it weeb. Like make Yorick the gross weeb skin. He like throws pillow.
No, you just got it. Oh god,
that's the goals.
That'd be so.
And he's just like some basement dwelling fiend guy who throws his waifus at his enemies.
I would refuse I would ban that character just so I don't see that skin. That sounds
that's
a terrible idea.
Neckbeard Yorick. You heard it here first.
That sounds so bad.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad skin idea.
Oh wait, have you watched the King's Avatar?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so web novels are becoming more and more popular in the Western culture. Coming from someone who actually reads web novels, there's a lot of Korean and Chinese translated stuff. I think for China especially, it's like a huge market. Like,
I know that like Korea loves webcomics.
Yeah. They have one big website that does it, and China has like 3 or 4. Like it's humongous there. One of the webcomics they got novels that translated over called like King's Avatar. Okay. And it's literally just like it's made fully by a Chinese animation studio. So immediately, once I hear that, I'm just like, it's going to be awful. Like, I have no hope for it. But apparently, it's pretty good. And it's literally about, esports. It's an esports anime where there's a bunch of...
We've got there.
No.
Esports is real.
No, the web novel came out, like, years ago. Or it's still updating, something like that. But it came out, like, years ago. And it's updating on, like, a weekly basis or something. But I've read it all. It's not bad. Like, it's pretty good. And I think that I saw, like, the trailer for the first episode, and I was like, oh, it looks like it could be good. But I haven't watched it because I'm, like, worried about it. But everyone tells me it's actually really good.
Chinese animation studios have actually gotten so much better in recent years. There was a project that I was working on within Riot that was going to look at animation studios, and there was one called Wolf Smoke, and their stuff is really, really good. They have a lot of their stuff up on YouTube, so you can check it out. I was just updated that Mark is finally on his way. He's been live for 48 minutes, almost 50 minutes.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about the King's Avatar. It's literally what it is.
The King's Avatar.
It's like this guy's a god at the game. There's like 4 gods, and like his team just like kicks him out because he's like
he's toxic.
No, he's the type of guy who like plays but never wants to show his face. So like he can't. But like because that they like push him out for this brand new young talent.
Yeah.
So he gets kicked out, and it's about his like trip back up with a bunch of random other stuff along the way, and it's pretty good. So someone just said that the web novel is actually finished, but the translations aren't, which makes sense because big translation just started happening within the last like 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
It's made by a Japanese studio. Oh, that's not bad then. I was worried for nothing. My bad, dude. I was worried for nothing.
All the non-anime people in the chat are just like, oh god, can they just please stop talking about anime?
I'm just saying what is topical at the moment. Yeah. You know, if there was something topical about League of Legends that wasn't Scarra on your new team, will you promise me you'll play Katarina? Which, by the way, I don't promise that. If there's anything else that wasn't that. Oh, okay. Well, actually, I do want to talk about that a little bit. the schedule for streaming, I didn't realize they stream one best of a week. There's 6 weeks of play, I think.
Oh, wait, you mean for your scrims or your actual games?
My actual games. So
Oh,
of the
okay.
6 teams competing, only one gets streamed. So like you won't like we'll play next week.
Yeah.
People
But no
are-
one won't be.
People won't see us till like week 2. And
Wait,
then
really?
After that, week 6.
That's so random.
I know. 'Cause
Why would they do that?
That's just how it's always been. It's not been a big deal because
That's true, yeah.
Because like there hasn't been that much.
So we won't even get to see the Dream Meme Stream Team.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what happens is like if the series ends early, then they jump into another series. But at best, you're gonna see 2 of the series of the 3 that are playing.
That's so random. Why would they do that? Well,
that's just
so
always how it's
now
been.
you guys just have to stream it on your own.
Oh, I was actually thinking about recording the VODs and releasing it, but I'm just like, wait, that could give away our strategy. And I'm like, wait, what if we don't have strategy? So I was just like, maybe I'll just record the audio and release it because I don't want people like.
Oh my god! Everyone in the world would listen in on the mic check for your guys' team. It would be so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm considering it where we just record like the audio portions and it's just like hilarious.
Oh my god!
But I think what's gonna happen is like I record all the audio and I give it to someone and be like edit out anything that's really bad because literally like
I legitimately
like there are stuff that we say that cannot go live. Like it is just like it's just for close friends, you know.
I have this concept now. I'm going to improve your YouTube channel a huge amount with this idea. What you do is you take the audio clips from your guys' games and you animate them kind of like what Game Grumps does with their animation. Have Lily animate like the things that you guys talk about or something. Million views. You guys heard it here first. If that video comes out, you guys can all thank me for it.
Oh.
That video would actually do so well. I know for a fact it would do so well.
Yeah, because then it's like me and Lily are creating anime.
I mean, that's just kind of her art style, I guess. But I know, don't even lie. I know everyone in this chat wants exactly that.
Oh. That sounds interesting.
This is why I'm a fucking producer at Riot Games and other places.
You know?
And here.
So I will definitely record the audio and we'll do stuff with it. I don't know what it is, but it'll happen.
Pay Xell. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, guys. This is why I should be paid the big bucks.
Oh my! Some of the stuff we've already said in our chat is so bad. Like something like I can't release, but I just read it. I'm just like, this is so fun.
Oh my god. Oh, another thing that we should bring up is that if there's any problems with the stream in the next few weeks, it's because that we're using MarkZ's laptop and it's actually just dying. I was trying to set this up this morning, and Mark's computer was lagging from watching an LCS.
I have plans to get another laptop to replace this problem, but it probably won't happen until after 2 weeks.
Yeah. The way I fixed it, by the way, apparently I messaged Mark and I was like, dude, what's going on with your laptop? How can I get this to work? And apparently it's because something's wrong with his power cable or battery or something. And so you have to like turn the cable in just like very, very slightly to get it to the right point so that it works. Yeah. So, yeah, if anything goes wrong today, again, you can always just blame Mark. That's always my answer.
I do.
Yeah, it's too much porn.
Quite possible.
It's very possible.
Dude, what if Mark just forgot about us? Like, literally, he was just like, no, I'm kind of hungry right now. Hey. They'll type the press people, you guys hungry, dude? Let's go grab some grub.
All the casters are like, yeah, we're going to get dinner on Sato.
Yeah, they'll just go out and we'll literally just be here the entire time until finally he's just like, did I forget something? Oh!
No. Whoa!
Wait, what? You just copied me.
Yeah, I don't know. I had nothing to talk about, so I was just like, I'm just going to copy you.
This has definitely been one of the longer pre-shows that
Hopefully
I've ever
this doesn't
been on.
happen. I'm sure Mark will come in being like, I'm MarkZ and I hate everybody and I don't give a fuck that I'm late.
He's just going to make up an excuse. He's gonna make it an excuse that's like probably a little bit true. He's gonna be like, I got held up by supermodels at the airport. I couldn't make it on time. Something like that.
Yeah, that's probably more probable.
He had
I like my version of Mark better.
He had too many fans outside the Riot Games studio, and he just couldn't wade through all of them.
Oh yeah.
He had to sign just an hour's worth.
Swamped with all that esports puss. Oh god, he's too popular after his amazing performance, of Silver Scrapes, and he just like, oh god, gotta wade through all the girls.
He's famous for that. He's famous for those skits he does every week with that one other guy.
Yeah, that one other. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who that guy is. Actually, we haven't released a skit in a while. I'm looking forward to it. He just tweeted.
What did he tweet?
I'm checking it out right now.
Is this the casting couch? I mean, it can be.
It can be.
At the moment, not right now. Where's Yuna? Yuna is doing his job right now.
Yeah, because he's doing...
He's been hot. Are we allowed to leak that?
Is it not announced?
I don't think it's announced yet.
Oh, we should probably not say anything.
Okay. Well, he's doing something with someone.
Gonna walk in the door, I'm 3 minutes. Okay, he said that 57 seconds ago, so in 2 minutes Mark should show up, and then he'll, Yuna has a job, lol. Yeah, jobs are for idiots.
But, yeah, Yuna's doing stuff during LCS, so that's why, well, I think more than like, Yuna was our, the third person on the pre-show, usually with Josh, two people while they wait for me and Mark to come back.
Yeah.
But Riot decided not to move forward with me this split, and so I'll just be here instead of Yuna. And Yuna goes to do his job. I think I'll just be with Josh. So now instead of a 4-man crew, we have a 3-man crew.
Yeah. Although, I can hear footsteps. Mark's here. Finally.
How long was it?
An hour?
An hour is something. It's been a long.
It was that fucking long?
Yeah.
Holy
the stream's been up for almost a full hour. 57 minutes.
Woo! That's pretty bad.
It's alright, dude. I'm
my
sure
God.
we were speculating what held you up. Maybe too many fans outside the studio.
Just swarmed in fans.
Before the show, me and Scarra were like, let's come up with some topics for the pre-show.
We came up with 4 or 5. We came up with a lot.
We came up with four and then I was like, do you think we need more? And Scarra's like, nah, it's probably fine. It's probably fine.
We're 40 minutes in, and then we're just like, it's been a long show. Where's Mark?
Yeah, that's my bad. I probably could have dipped out on the story meeting earlier, but it was the first one of the split. I didn't want to, I don't know.
Oh shit, if I move the laptop, will the power thing happen?
Most likely not, as long as the cable's fine.
Okay, anyways, let me know when you're ready, dude.
I'm ready to go.
Alright, I can tell with
Cracking open a cold one for the boys.
Oh my god. How's that Red Bull taste, man? We're not sponsored by them yet, but we...
Tastes like I should be getting a sponsorship soon. We're not going to get sponsored by Red Bull.
If we ever get sponsored by Red Bull, I'll chug that every stream.
Me too.
Easy peasy, man. Easiest deal in my life. Anyways, welcome to Greatest League Talkshow. Here, I'm Scarra, and I'm here with my lovely co-host,
MarkZ.
And we're here to break down the LCS games for the week. So the games on yesterday, Friday, and today, Saturday.
Yep, and at the end, we'll be doing a small QA. We don't know how long, because apparently this show's been going on for quite a while already. But yeah, we'll tell you guys to tweet it out in a little bit for any questions. But until then, we're going to start things off with Friday's game, CLG versus C9 being the first one.
Oh my god.
I got these notes on my phone.
Before going into the series, I just wanted to say, I don't know why I expected this, but I expected like a higher level of play. But
no, that's totally fair to say.
The first week going into every split always sucks. Like, actually. Like, when you think about it, like, some teams are there, but then for the most part, like, most teams take, like, 2 weeks to warm up.
You'll get some hype games, but you won't get good games.
And this is, like, an example of a series where I'm just like, they had some hype-ass moments, but my god, some of the play...
Especially Game 2.
Oh my god. Game 2 was just like, dude, come on, guys. You can only be in mid lane so much, so many...
Game 3 was just, oh my god.
Alright, so let's just, you want to go through the games?
Yeah, so this was a 3-game series. Game 1 went to C9, I believe, right?
Yes.
And then it was Game 2 for CLG. and then game 3 for CLG. And the way this kind of went was like, I think C9 was the better team in a lot of areas, but CLG's draft just won them, game 2 especially, and then even game 3 a little bit. And it felt like C9 wasn't so much better that they could just like be like, oh yeah, our draft's bad, we're gonna win. They couldn't SKT them.
Yeah, and this is also a situation where our golden boy for the team, Dardoch, we're expecting this guy to go off this series. And CLG proved they can win without him.
I think that's a really, really big point over the course of the season in 2 areas. Number 1, that Dardoch doesn't need to carry, and they can win. And that number 2, Dardoch himself doesn't need to play well.
And they can win.
Yeah.
This is like a series where I'm watching Dardoch, I'm just like, dude, come on, dude.
But in a good way, because he was playing bad, but still kept his mental in it. Whereas, like, I feel like a lot of the time when things went wrong in old games, and like Immortals and TL, he would just int. And there was none of that.
Yeah, I mean, well, you talk about like the good drafts, but really, Tony, by the way, is in chat. He's been in chat for an hour waiting for you. Like, legit, no joke. He's been waiting the entire time just to hear us talk about.
He just wants to hear us suck him off about his fucking drafts on day 2.
And the best thing is,
or game 2.
Yeah, the best thing is the first game. I'm gonna say he got out drafted.
Yeah.
The first game, I'm looking at the draft and I'm just like, C9's draft just kind of runs it down.
Yeah.
Like, actually...
Well, C9 had, like, what was it? Lulu, Ori, Olaf... Galio.
And it was a comp where if you get to the mid-game and you're, like, not really far ahead, they actually just run you down.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything.
Like, if you try to burst the Olaf, which is usually what's scary when you're playing Olaf, it's like, wait, they have shield, speed-ups, and a Galio ult. Like, how do you get through his health bar?
I thought just the way the comp was made was really, really intelligent. It's something where... It's something where once you see the comp itself work out, you're just like, wow, the other team can't do much.
And the big thing is also is like how you get that comp. Because in theory, you can be like, wow, look how stupidly strong this comp is. But like if you pick Galio into Fiora, you have Ori into an Ahri matchup, and then like your bot lane does nothing, and Olaf, like there's ways to get that comp and still get fucked. But C9 got the comp in an intelligent way where they weren't like counterpicked all over the map.
Yeah, it was like they traded OPs, but their comp ended up being like
better.
A well-developed comp. Because like they gave up like Galio and Gragas are probably the 2 best tank.
I think most of the time when you hear that, you're like, how did they get those? They must have blind rotation both of them.
Yeah, but in fact, they're just trading off really good picks, and it just happened that their picks ended up being really, really synergistic.
Yeah, and that was kind of the case where like Dardoch had he tried to do the Lyra invade where like he does the double quinch. He goes Raptors red scuttle and tries to meet Olaf as blue. Really smart play. Just missed the Q on Lee. That's the only reason that wasn't like first blood and like, oh my god, Dardoch's a god.
And this is something that you'll notice even from COG last split is that they're very creative with their level 1s. Always. They're the team that going into a series, you gotta expect something a little bit cheesy about their level. Not cheesy, but like they don't just fan out.
So like what I like about this is like when you look at traditional sports, like it's not even considered cheesy, it's called like a look. Like they'll give you a different look, whereas like some teams they just default fucking 5-point spread out, maybe we'll walk in to drop a ward on your Raptor camp, and CLG is like not down to do that every game.
They prefer not to do that, actually.
Right, but you have to be prepared for so many extra situations.
Yeah, and I love that about them, actually. This is a good example. So for people who don't know about the Lyra invade, it requires you to run XP quints on your jungler, and you take one camp a buff, and the Scuttle Crab gives you perfectly level 3, and you invade their other buff. And it happened today as well in one of the games, and it just so happened that their very first game they play of the split, they do this route with these runes, and I'm just like, oh. And Lyra, reason why we call it the Lyra route is because he was the first to show it off in LCS last split.
Yeah. And like we said, this time it just doesn't work, and then later, like, CLG forces bot, Dardoch doesn't have his flash, gets fucked when he goes in now, and like, the game kind of, I wouldn't say falls apart because it still took a little while.
Well, this is the game where you're just like, okay, they have a great lead, right?
Yeah.
So Dardoch has a really good level. He has almost a full level lead because they end up getting I think enemy Raptors as well as.
Yeah, he takes a lot of Olaf's camps.
Exactly. But and they roam mid and kill Jensen as well. They 3-man kill Jensen. The problem with this game was because Hui just like killed himself multiple times with Taliyah. And I'm not saying that like I'm saying he played bad. I'm not saying he's a bad player.
Like, there's sometimes where you take the Taliyah wall in and the fight develops in a way where you're like, oh my god, I couldn't have seen that coming. But this was like, he Taliyah walled into turret range and then
got very salty.
Yeah, it's like, you can see that coming.
And the thing is, it's like, if you look at the setup for the play, it's not a bad call. Because it's a 4-man bot lane dive.
That's exactly why you take Talia.
Yeah.
Without the whole inting.
Exactly. But he just, like, straight up killed himself. And then Dark is there, but his mid lane's dead, and they just wasted so much time around the play. And the game just stalls out that way. Yeah. Until we get to situations where, C9's comes online, and they realize it's impossible to deal with.
Yeah, it's by the time that, like, you don't have a lead against this comp, when they put all the buffs on Olaf and, like, he lands an axe on, like, any non-tank member of the other team, they're gonna get trained down. And it kind of just felt like the game, yeah, like you said, fell apart.
And this is also one of the games where I realized Stone Plate is in the meta.
Stone Plate is 3rd item every tank.
It's the new GA now. And the worst thing about this is it works. Olaf isn't neutered by this item because he does true damage based on his health as well. So, like, when he goes in, and he runs you down with Stone Plate, he's supposed to be doing 60% less damage to you. It's not even true because he just true damages you till you die.
So Stone Plate works on everyone in the meta right now because, one, it gives you a stupid health bonus. So if you are running the Black Cleaver Titanic build, which is the kind of go-to on bruisers, it gives you more health for your Titanic procs, which is nice. If you are a traditional tank and you're going 2 resist items, it then gives you the massive health pool you need to back up those resistances. So, like, it's just 3rd item on everyone, basically.
Yeah, definitely overtuned. Expect nerfs in the future. Thank you, Riot Games. But, yeah, this game, they just came online, and game over.
All right, let's go to Game 2, because it wasn't too much more to hit on that.
Right. Game 2, I know people were really blasting Hui after the first game. Game 2 comes online. People are wondering, is Hui going to play bad? Generally, in lane, when you look at these lane matchups, you're expecting Hui to lose in lane. Jensen is just, or at least I am.
Well, let's hit on, like, the bigger picture of the draft first, which is, like, one, they take the Gragas early, and they just had it topside, and they flex it to Dardoch after they see the ᵐᵉᵐᵉ pick, and then they take Renekton as a counter pick, which gives them, like, a pretty important pressure point on the map, because that's, like, where their early plays was topside for the most part, which I thought was really important, as well as the Xayah and Rakan and Ori and all that, like, the team fight.
So generally, this is a game where I thought that didn't CLG fall behind a little bit this game?
Yeah, they fell behind.
They fell behind this game, and off the back of their bot lane and Hui landing great ultis, and actually Zion landing. Was it this game where he landed good initiations? It was either
Xayah, or you mean Rakan?
No, Zion. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Zion.
What's his name? Darshan.
Yeah, Darshan.
Yeah.
No, this was like, he had good follow-up, because, like, a lot of the fights would go, like, Rakan goes in, stuns everyone, Ori ball on top, pulls them all together, Xayah throws her ult sometimes to, like, get more AoE damage, and then Darshan would always get, like, the follow-up, like, big AoE, call the meek off. So it was, like, it was all around, like, the team played 5v5 so well, especially into C9's comp, which was Syndra Varus or Syndra Ashe? Ashe was the 3rd game. I think it was Varus this time.
It is Varus Syndra, yes.
Yeah, so, like, you just have no immobile carries versus this, like, full screen engage of, like, instant CC that is Rakan.
Yeah.
And you just get fucked.
It's actually I think this is the first game where we see the Rakan in action, this split, and this is the game that shows me Rakan's actually busted. You can't counter her initiation outside of lane, and the only way you beat Rakan is inside lane, which is why he's only really picked with Xayah to make sure that they have the synergy to get her out of lane. Is that his name?
I fucking love Xayah, and Josh just turns his head to you like, are you retarded? Like,
is that how you pronounce her name?
Xayah.
Is that really it?
Yeah, and also Rakan's the guy.
That's what I meant to say. That's why I recorrected myself.
Damn, all over that Gigabyte Marines space.
Dude, I'm sorry, dude. These guys.
Yeah.
This couple is messing me up.
I almost called. Yeah, I don't know. It's early. We haven't had to say their names that many times. We're gonna get more used to it.
Right. But anyways, you start to see over the course of the entire day that this duo combo is very, very good.
Yep.
And the way you break this combo is not by banning the support. You ban the AD. Because the AD allows the support to function in lane, which is his biggest weakness.
Yeah, I mean, you can ban either of them, but it's almost like Xayah is a little more independent than Rakan. We saw Rakan a couple times with other things, and some made sense and some didn't. And we'll get into those in those games. Anyways, this time, like we were saying, like, the game was relatively close for the first 15 minutes, and then CLG starts destroying them in team fights. Like, every engage goes well for CLG. Where they mess up is they, like, 4-man bottom 22 minutes into the game.
And lose Baron.
And they just give up Baron. It's like, What year is this? Like, who makes this mistake?
I remember looking at this mistake, and people were criticizing Hui for not being mid lane. And I literally heard that, and I was so mad, because I was like, if Hui was mid lane this game, that's still a bad macro maneuver by CLG.
You're still putting your jungler and your bot lane bottom. Like, they're going to go Baron still.
Exactly. And so it was just like a big macro mistake by CLG, a team that typically prides themselves on their ability to win the game macro-wise after 20 minutes.
And it's the case that in both their wins yesterday, at least, like, it was not macro related. And even today, it was more just like TL sucks balls. Anyway, so game 2, they keep out team fighting. It gets a little close with like the Baron rush, but at no point can C9 5v5, and their comp can only 5v5 really.
I think the hardest thing for them is to stop the recon initiation. And it's impossible with Flash. Like, the ulti flash into the W guarantees the 2 seconds of CC, blows them with Oriole.
And you can, like, theoretically, maybe, like, with better frontline and disengage stuff, you can maybe, like, save it, but they have a J4 as them.
It's probably only possible with Gragas.
I was thinking Gragas.
He's one of the only characters who has immediate CC. And if you're outside of the initial initiation zone, he can buy slam flash in to break the W.
Yeah, or he can just throw ult at the follow-up. He can do a couple things. I was thinking like maybe Galio works too, but either way, without significant protection and immobile carries, you're going to die.
Yeah, and this was just a comp where it made a lot of sense once you saw
it in action.
Yes.
And to be fair to Afro, his engages were really good. We saw today not all recons are busted. It was like the combination and the execution of this comp. So they win this one. Game 3, if you're ready to move on?
Yes.
All right, Game 3. I don't know. This is another one where it's kind of a comp thing where like C9's comp just like doesn't work well. It's a bunch of AD threats that like don't really have a good front line. They have like Kennen, Kha'Zix, Ashe, and I forget their mid laner. What was it?
Lulu, Kennen, Ahri.
Ahri, that was the Ahri, yeah. And it's like you just don't have a good team fight, and then Ray didn't get online. He didn't get online the entire series, always counterpicking, always like kind of taking selfish picks in that regard where they're supposed to win, and he never won lane.
Yeah, this was definitely a game where you need the Kennen to go off to be able to create a win condition for your team. And that didn't happen. Darshan played actually a really good series, and it ended up being, I think this is the game where he just initiated really, really well to be able to kind of maybe not bring the series back, but like start a lot of the fights for them.
Right, and on the flip side, well, just finish on the Ray point. I think a big thing too is like he played the 1v1s okay, and he survived the pressure. But with those picks, you need to, like you said, be winning the matchups. Not like you're not a Gragas who like, yeah, I hung on to lane, it was great, and I had fights. It's like Kennen from ahead or from behind is pretty useful.
One of the bigger problems, and something that was well shown last split, was his decision making is not great. And one of the biggest things about Impact is that generally his decision making is very good.
Right.
His actual laning mechanics are pretty poor and have been on the decline for during the last split. But in terms of out of lane, he's like a great frontline player. He understands exactly how to frontline. Whereas if you watch Ray, sometimes you're just like you just throw like question marks at him.
You get the question mark pings.
Yeah, like for instance, a really good example was it today's game where he Jarvan flagged in and then just like died instantly mid lane. Things that you're just be like, wow, that was surprisingly
totally page,
bad,
yeah.
right? Like not anywhere on the same page as his team. He still has that problem. Something that C9 needs to work on.
And on the CLG side, a couple people in chat were spamming it. Yes, the A-Soul came in.
As usual, it's a pocket pick that CLG has literally played for 3 splits now. It's something which should come as no surprise to any team that plays against them, but somehow it still catches teams by surprise.
I understand the playing against CLG where it's like, okay, sometimes when it's open, they don't pick it. And then oh my god, Zyra was crazy. Are we prepared for this? No, okay, maybe we throw some bans that way. And then you're doing other standard bans, don't do Ivern, don't Dardoch played Ivern one game. You have these other bans that you have to do, and Aurelion Sol is not in the meta. They don't spam it first pick, insta pick status. So sometimes it just goes through, and every time it does go through, and who he picks it just lights out.
And this is the weirdest thing about this game is that Sol did not do anything that what makes Sol good.
Right, the early game pressure wasn't super there. Yeah,
for instance, what Sol does is she Sol hard shoves lane and just
everyone's
runs.
a girl to you, dude.
I'm sorry.
Are you thirsty?
I'm sorry, dude. I just can't do pronouns. Anyways, he just ends up shoving and then running to side lanes. But that's really not what ended up happening.
Well, what was crazy is he ended the game despite, like you said, not having super good early game, highest damage in the game as Aurelion Sol without a snowballing early game, which is very surprising and kind of just speaks to how fucking good who he is on it. But yeah, for the most part, what was really sad this game was just like with Kennen, and like, yeah, he wasn't ahead, but he didn't keep splitting. He just, like, Ray just grouped up mid. This was just like ᵐᵉᵐᵉ's mid after like the mid game. And it was so sad, like both teams teleport up, 5v5ing mid, standing there, just doing nothing. It was so depressing as like where is any sense of the macro here?
And eventually, I think CLG's initiation is a little bit better because they actually have frontline, they have Gragas initiation. So
yeah, they have a real team comp.
Right, so they win team fights. Like, it's just that simple.
If C9's comp is ahead and the Kennen split pushing, like, yeah, maybe it's hard for CLG's comp to win, but if both teams are standing, staring at each other, I will take CLG's comp almost every single time. They get a little messed up because they keep going really hard on Sneaky, who would get a lot of damage off before he died, and then, like, Kennen could play cleanup a couple times, but for the most part, no, it's over.
Yeah, this is a game that dragged on after 2 inhibs where they'd still push down mid.
Instead of going top, and you'd be like, what are they doing? But for the most part, this was a good game to see that actually one of the things that people always talk about Afro's playmaking come online throughout the series. Yeah.
And so once Bard and champions like Rakan are in the meta, Afro really shines. And he just makes like ridiculously good plays a lot. And this is even coming with him dying in lane on Bard. Where he could still
classic Afro.
Where he can still bounce back and be able to take over games a lot of times.
Final thought on this is 2 big things for CLG. 1, Dardoch, you barely heard us mention him this series.
He had...
You would think Dardoch on a team, that whole series is about how well Dardoch did. He did not play super well, and the team still won.
The only thing I can say about Dardoch was that in the second game, he hard camped top and made Darshan relatively big.
Right, they ganked it once, Ray survived it, but they're holding down the...
And then gank it again, and he dies.
Yeah, so like, yeah, they camped the counter pick, good game plan. And this is kind of what we're saying, we're like, will Dardoch follow a game plan that the team sets up? Evidently, yes, and the team will win with that. And then the other thing, if you're a CLG fan, is that they didn't even look that good when you really, like, think about it. Like, their comps were better, and then both teams lacked macro. It's like, there's a lot to improve on as a CLG fan, which is good because you're still winning, and you can improve.
I think the takeaways for me on this series are at least from the CLG side of things, is Afro's form from last playoff seems to still be here. Yes, he had one bad death, but I think, and I'll talk about it again coming into the next series. For the most part, he played very, very well.
Yeah.
And Darshan's becoming like really, really good as well. He was on an upward trend at the end of last split, and I think this entire week he's played really well.
I think the thing to realize about Darshan, high level, he's not like the star carry player he was when he was on Coast and stuff, but he's still dynamic enough to do multiple things. Not just tank, not just be a
right,
carry.
He's still a versatile player.
Yeah. Anyways, C9, not too much to say, just disappointing level given that they were in the finals last split. And it's not going to get any better as we move on to the next day. Anyways, Friday was a long day. We got the whole other series. P1 versus Immortals. Another 3-game series.
Coming into this series, who did you expect to win?
I thought P1 would win.
That's what I thought too.
I think you should have thought P1 was going to win. They were the 3rd place team. Not super convincing as they kind of trended down towards the end. But you're like, all right, well, they've been bouncing between Anori and Meteos. And then there was Shady and Stunt. And they finally figured out their roster. They've had like a month and a half to prepare now. How are they going to look? And then they just come out flat.
Yeah, was not very impressed.
I don't know. There's just not too much to say. Like, Ryu and Arrow looked good sometimes, and other times they didn't look that good. They played a lot more aggressive bottom lane than we're used to seeing out of like Arrow-based team, like his lanes traditionally. But it wasn't like they were being super aggressive and winning hard. Anori was a lot of a pretty big non-factor, and then like Zig actually got handled pretty hard on his Kled, though I don't think it was his fault. We'll get into that when we get there. And then Immortals on the flip side, I thought this was really good looks for them. This is like as good as you could hope.
I thought a lot of good things. Like I think a lot of people credited Pobelter to going off a lot during the series. And I'm just like, look at what Smithy's doing for this team.
I think
actually look at what he's doing. And I'll get into it when we cover Game 3. But he is doing some like back-breaking work for the team to make his teammates look really good.
So let's get into game one. I didn't like over the course of the series. I really didn't have that many thoughts on the draft. Did you? I like they were like meh. They were just there.
For the most part, I just looked at the play.
Yes.
Like, oh god, I have the 2 other drafts on my phone, but it's okay. It's okay. Just
all right. Anyways, game one, it was like good macro out of Immortals in a little sense in the early game. They lost their bot summoners pretty early, so they flipped their bot lane up to the top side and they do like the turret trades to get out of like that bad situation. And then they got a Rift Herald after it later, and like things were looking pretty good. But P1 was just like kind of winning a lot of fights, and they were getting leads like that.
all right. So the strangest thing about this game is, how do you usually play an Ahri Shen comp? So back when you saw TSM play Ahri Shen, what does the Ahri Shen comp do? Okay, regardless if the Ahri is ahead or behind, or the Ahri comp is ahead or behind, the Ahri takes the initiation with the Shen to set up the picks or the team fight to make your team comp work. Now, what happened this game? Arrow took the initiation, and his bot lane set up the plays to open the game, which was really strange to me. Like, I look at this comp and I'm just like, that's not how you do it. But I guess it works for them.
Well, a lot of the time it was like Immortals was sieging mid, and then P1 would just kind of engage. And like you said, with
Varus ulti, and then like on one of the parts, like the Varus has got Shen ulti, and when you're looking at this, they're playing like a 1-3-1 where Ryu clears top lane.
Yeah.
And I just think like, okay, that's reasonable, but at some point the Ahri comes mid lane and starts to fight. That's how the comp is kind of built, but that's really not what happens.
No.
This is really a situation where I just looked at it and I was like, oh, their bot lane's doing almost all the work this game. Which, makes sense for
what you expect. It was like Arrow had like 100% kill participation like 20 minutes in. He was like 3-0-2 with 5 kills, stuff like that. So it was what you expected out of P1, and then like it kind of set the tone like they're gonna win this series. That's how I felt after game one, because I was like, all right, Immortals is kind of like grouping mid to push against this 1-3-1, and then they're not warding their flanks properly, and Zig would like come in from the side, and they would get some kills.
And the one big question mark for me on their actual team was whether Shady and Arrow would be bad in lane. And because that was the one thing that I was like, okay, well, this bot lane is up and coming, they're doing really well.
You mean Immortals?
Immortals bot lane is up and coming, and then Arrow has just not had a lot of time with his supports. So we gave him the benefit of the doubt for being a fantastic AD player out of lane, and hopefully like going into this split, their in lane is pretty good. I thought their lane was average. Like it was okay. It was
over the course of the series, really. It was
okay.
Yeah.
Like maybe it was slightly better than what they showed last split, but not good enough to get past.
Well, there was also one where they lost a lot. Like he was down a ton of CS.
The Kog'Maw one.
Yeah.
Which I think is the next game.
Or
was the last? It's the last game.
I think it's the last game. Yeah. The second game, if you're ready to move on, because I really didn't have that much. The second game tilted the shit out of me. This was a game where I was like, fuck Dragon. Dragon RNG is so dumb. Immortals is going to win this game just purely on luck. And I still feel like they only won because the Dragon spawns.
I don't agree at all.
You don't agree at all?
No. Can you... It's just because I don't have the draft on here right now. Can you tell me the draft for
I didn't take it down. It was where they had all early game. They did not, like, Immortals was pretty much an early game team, and then they get 3 Infernals, and they just take like the late game win condition away from P1. Because I think this actually was the Kog'Maw game potentially. I would need to look at the draft. Where are your notes?
Oh my! I'm gonna go pick it up.
Go get your notes, because I need the comps to tilt.
This is like one of the games where I remember you tweeting that, and I was just like, I don't agree.
All right, well, get your fucking notes and let's argue.
Oh,
I'm ready to win an argument right now.
The problem is I don't know where I saved the Google Docs. I took notes on the Fridays games on my.
Look at this guy. Look how prepared he is.
Dude, come on.
Cog was game 3. All right.
Extensive notes on this, and I just don't know where it is. Is it this? GCU versus Envy.
GCU versus Envy is not the P1 Immortal series.
That's a long time ago.
How do you not know? Isn't it just in your most recently opened?
Oh, the problem is I think it's on my other Google account, and I don't have it here.
Okay. This was the game with all those bot lane shenanigans, where like Immortals went down to the bot lane to like try and dive it, and then they just kind of fucked it up. Like Smithy goes over the wall and like misses a point blank cocoon, and then P1 starts turning it, and they should be able to win that, and then they go around behind the turret, P1 does, and then they instantly all die and give like 1,000,000 kills back, and Immortals gets a huge lead off of like an early game mistake.
And you're saying this is the game where Immortals ended up winning, and you said they shouldn't have won.
They shouldn't have won without Dragon RNG. They should win based off.
If I remember watching this game correctly, P1 had like 5 to 10 minutes where they could have forced something with a team comp that can force plays very easily.
But they were down like 3K gold, and yeah, they got aced early on. They were down a ton of gold, and they were like, okay, Immortals, we're gonna outscale you, so we're just gonna sit back and just wait till the gold lead shrinks. And for a while, Immortals didn't grow the gold lead at all. It like sat at like 3K.
Immortals had Renekton, Elise, Ahri, Varus, Spard.
Yeah, does that look like it's going to win a team fight late game?
I think it can, especially with Bard. Bard has very unique value going to late game.
All right.
Like, that's a team comp which has, like...
Kled, Olaf, Ori, Cait, Lulu. Protect the Caitlyn comp with team fighting versus that bullshit early game team fighting.
Oh, okay, wait. This wasn't why I got upset. Because you got upset. I wasn't upset for P1. I was upset for the fact that Immortals took that long to end the game with that comp.
Well, yeah, I agree. But they wouldn't have even ended the game if Ahri didn't get 18% bonus AP and could literally RW or hit a charm and take off 80% of any backline threat's health. It got that ridiculous.
Oh.
Come late game, because it took so long, was only because they had Infernal Dragons. Ahri lost all, like, execution to win.
I agree that it was much easier to win with those dragons. I was really mad about watching this game because Immortals actually could not coordinate their CCs.
Yeah.
They have literally the
pick
best,
comp. They have a pick comp.
They have the best pick comp with perfect vision on Baron.
Yep.
And I waited 8 minutes for them to be able to do it. And they couldn't do it within the 8-minute window I was watching. I was so mad.
That's what I'm saying. That's why Dragon won them the game, because they couldn't fucking do anything. And then it's like, would you like another Infernal Dragon? How about an Infernal Dragon? Would you like a third Infernal Dragon? And then the way that they actually win the game is there's like a random skirmish in the top jungle that they don't even play well, but they just have so many extra stats with their gold lead that they just win it.
To be fair, I also think they would have won with any combination of Mountain Drakes. So
yes, I agree with that as well.
I think if they got Cloud Drake, absolutely would not matter.
Ocean Drake doesn't matter at all. There was never any poke situation.
Yeah, it was a situation where 2 of the 5 dragons wins them the game.
4.
Two of the 4, right? Where'd the 5th one come in?
Elder?
Yeah,
I don't know.
2 of the 4 wins them the game, and they just got like Infernal.
And here's what I'm saying. Like, yes, that's true, but like you're literally winning a game, taking another team's win condition, and just 50% of the time removing it, and 50% of the time doing nothing against it. Like a Cait, Ori, Lulu versus that shit with like a Kled Olaf, like you have so much like late game team fighting potential.
To be fair,
you can still win if you get like good angles and you chain CC backline with like the Ahri finding a flank. Like there's still ways to win. I'm not saying but based off how Immortals
also
play.
To be fair, Olaf and Kled fall off.
They do.
Actually.
But
really
not as hard as Renekton and Elise.
I don't think...
Well, actually, it's close.
Yeah, I think it's much closer than just like this team had a late game comp and this team didn't.
Yeah.
I will say though, Triple Infernals made that really easy for them.
Yeah.
And I was most frustrated because I was just like, Immortals just can't hit buttons. Like, it's actually depressing because I thought that one of the biggest improvements from last split was that they actually controlled the vision of the area.
It was fine.
Great.
But they didn't do anything, and that was the thing. Was I was like, wait, they're stalling out. I feel like, you know, even if the top side of the map, both those kind of fall off a little bit. Like, I would take Lulu, Ori, Cait versus.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would too. The biggest X factor is just Bard. And so how good the Bard plays really determines like how the stuff starts.
Right, and that's why I was saying that like Immortals wasn't playing well though.
Yeah. They weren't playing great. They got the game. I think whatever. It happens. At least for me, and the third game didn't decide what happens, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And the third game, can we just get into this?
Yeah.
All right. The third game happens, and spoilers, Immortals wins this game.
Yes.
But the way that it starts, did you have anything to say about the draft? I'm remembering like parts of it. I'm just like I had nothing to say.
It was pretty standard team.
Except for they went Gragas jungle, which a lot of teams don't like really doing. They put Gragas in like top preferably.
I mean, CLG did it. I think it's a pretty reasonable flex. You'll see it enough, especially if you can get a topside advantage by the flex.
Yeah, I think it's pretty big in other regions. From what I understand, I think Kelsey said it's big in China.
I can believe it.
And then not so much in Europe at all. And then in NA, it's like very small.
I think it's really dependent on your team. I think it's totally fair to put it jungle.
Okay, this is the way this game starts. P1 is just like, all right, you got this, dude. It's your win. Because they counter jungle him at Raptors. At the same time, mid is stealing small Raptors from Gragas. On the top side, their team is taking his blue buff. And so, Xmithy, what is the only thing he can do? He can only gank bot lane. And he still gets summoners off of it. Which is like, oh my god, please ward that location faster because you know, I think it was warded. And he still gets the double sums onto Kog'Maw, which kind of, I don't know, that makes me feel pretty bad about it.
I know, that was a huge problem. They kept pressuring bottom too. Like, it wasn't just like that one thing. And then P1 kind of just started killing themselves to like kind of bounce back into the game. It was like, all right, well, we'll take Dragon and then like we'll die. But, we got the Dragon. It's great. And they did that, like, 2 more times over the course of the game.
The thing about this game is this is the game where I felt like Inori and Ryu played the best early game they could have done. When you think about really what happened, okay, Ryu takes small Raptors, Inori takes blue buff. On the second rotation upwards, after Gragas only clears golems and ganks bot lane, he then takes his Raptor camp again. So he's a full level above Xmithy. And on the next Raptor spawn in 1:30 Ryu and Inori are back again to contest the Raptor camp, which they steal again, and the red buff, which they couldn't contest because their bot lane was getting smashed. And I thought this is the game where it's like, oh, their bot lane lost just too hard. To be able to pressure too hard into the bot side. Mm-hmm. And then once that pressure got relieved, people didn't know what they were doing.
Well, that was a big part of it. The other problem was that, like, through all these, like, kind of things happening, Pobelter was slowly getting fed. And there was one point, I think, where, like, after a skirmish in the bot side, he came back to lane, like, 3-0-1 is Ori with pen boots, Morellos, and a BF wand. And, like, at that point in the game, it was like 15 minutes in, Ori is disgusted. Ori starts getting really gross. And then at 20 minutes, she had her Ludens finished with a Haunting Guise. So she had double pen and 2 complete items. And you're just like, Ori's fucking gross from a head like that.
And the way that this comes back is essentially, Smithy just plays really well. I think he finds multiple initiations through all the players on the map, and then just is able to slowly bring the game back, even from a level deficit. And they had one fight on the bottom side of the map where he was able to do it to a big enough degree. And to be fair, I think what also helped was their top lane, Shen, covered his initiation so that he couldn't die fast enough before he got his ulti off. Before he initiated, so they were able to find good fights throughout the entire game.
Yep. So this was kind of a game where you see the new look Immortals in some sense, where Smithy is not this early game skirmishing all in. He's more like a coordinated team setup tool. And Pobelter can carry, actually. At least this series he did.
It looks great.
Yeah, it looks good.
Really good. I am actually surprised by how good the vehicle looked for how little amount of time they played together. Like what? They played like 2 weeks together?
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks. I would say that you still have to be like, put a little cap on it. It was the first series. Maybe that was just like, I wouldn't say like a lucky first series, but like that was the best that they can be. Like this might have been their best foot coming forward right at the beginning of the season, and then like they're going to drop off a little bit. The big thing is we just haven't seen enough games.
And on the flip side, we're talking about P1.
Yeah, I think there's like a little bit of a concern that like Inori's best champions that were all super meta at the start of last season when he looked pretty good are all nerfed. For the most part, like
except for Elise, I think the Kha'Zix is not.
Elise
is worse, and then
but he looked his best with Kha'Zix Rengar being busted. Those are no longer busted. Nothing in the jungle is really busted. Even though Elise is like really high priority for a lot of people, it's because it's one of the few still really strong.
And funny enough, this meta might be best suited for Meteos because Zac is like perfectly in meta, and he also plays Elise really well.
Yeah,
and so when you think about that, it's like wow, like. This is just unlucky a little bit for him. Like I'm not saying. What
are you saying here, Scarra?
No, I'm not saying
that there's
that Meteos should come back. I'm just saying that
jungler they should.
That Inori didn't have a great series. And I think a lot of their games are going to depend on if Inori can pull a consistent series out for his team. On top of that, Zig played poor this series as well.
So I didn't touch on enough in the game too. Just want to hop on it real quick. He was playing Kled versus ᵐᵉᵐᵉ. ᵐᵉᵐᵉ gets a first blood in the jungle invade, and then there's that horrible dive in the bot lane that we talked about, and ᵐᵉᵐᵉ picked up 2 more of those kills. So then at like 10 minutes in the game, ᵐᵉᵐᵉ comes back at 3-0-1, and Kled is like 0-1-0 off the back of nothing that's his own fault. And then he just gets smashed after that with like the pressure of like the roams up and the ᵐᵉᵐᵉ. Like, I didn't hold that against Zig. I was like, what do you want him to do? He just got really unlucky circumstance.
But I don't want to say that like
he didn't play well either.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he played well, but like it wasn't like ᵐᵉᵐᵉ was 3-0-1 because of him.
I just think generally I had a really high opinion of him in playoffs.
Yep.
Because in playoffs he was at the point where you're like, that's a star player on the team. Like, this is the player your team can look at to carry a series for you. And this series, I didn't quite get that kind of star appeal.
I agree. All right, let's move on to today's games, and let's pick the pace up a little bit because we got 4 more series to go.
Oh my god. Okay. So we'll start with what? COGTL, or do you want to start with Foxfly?
It depends if you want to fall asleep or not.
Start with CLGTL.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so CLGTL. This is a 2-0 in favor of CLG. This is kind of the saddest possible start you could ever have from Team Liquid, where game 1 is literally like, here's the game, take this, it's our offering. And then TL's like, we're too stupid to do anything with this lead. The draft was bad, the play was bad, and then game 2 they kind of just get rolled.
This was such a disappointing start for me because
yeah.
All right, let's say you're right, dude. Last season it wasn't Piglet's fault. It was the meta was bad, and like the team was bad, the coaching staff was bad, and their mid laner wasn't good either. Whatever. And though this season they got knew of all of those things, and their mid laner got a fresh new fade or whatever. And so so we're going into this series, and their AD gets a 3-0 double buff lead at 4 minutes.
Well, first off, why the fuck is Piglet playing Jhin? When it's like, it's not his meta, guys, but we're going to pick something he was never good at.
I want to say it's because of their scrim partners or something, because I saw a weird amount of Jhin today.
Yeah, who else played Jhin? It was in the other series, they picked Jhin the first game.
Fly.
Yeah, FlyQuest.
Turtle played a decent amount. And so, I don't know why Jhin is seen play. He has a kind of interesting Death Stance build right now. I don't know how strong it is. In fact, I would just reckon to say that there are more carry-oriented threats that Piglet could...
If Jhin is semi-meta right now, that's not the problem. It's why is Piglet playing Jhin after TL was literally like, the meta's not good. And Jhin was the worst one for Piglet. Like, at least Ashe and Varus are still like, you have to attack move. Jhin is not like that at all.
I'm even willing to give him the benefit of the pick.
Okay.
But the entire part where... I don't know what CLG is thinking at level 1. Darshan kills himself. Actually, just straight up
kills himself.
Kills himself. Not even just kills himself. He ruins his flash too.
Sometimes we say someone kills themselves, like with the Taliyah ults, where they were just bad ults. This is literally like he runs into Raptor camp, takes a Raptor, who he backs off support, and he stays in there like scrapping for Raptors, and the rest of TL like collapses and kills him.
And he uses flash.
So it's just, against a Fiora.
All right.
As a Shen.
So it's just like, okay, nightmare situation, whatever. It happens. And their bot lane play happens where very intense scrap. I can kind of see... I can't fault CLG for losing this one. It was a Caitlyn like sidestep away from getting first blood.
Right, so like this is a level 2 all-in basically, and they're winning it, and then Afro gets a little too close, eats a turret shot, and they lose, and they give up a kill. What makes it awful is Dardoch, because of all the shenanigans happening on the top side, is like, well, I'll have a jungle advantage, I'll steal his bot side jungle, and then he's behind TL's bot lane because he's doing this, invade. And then he's like, well, they're really low under their turret. Maybe I can get a kill.
Gets CC'd. Dies going out. AD dies too. Jhin starts 3-0. Double buffs. And at this point in the game, you think to yourself, we have a star AD carry in the league. But the thing is, he could be the worst AD carry in the league. If the worst AD carry in the league starts 3-0 against the best AD carry in the league with double buffs, you expect that lane to win. Like, that's just... It's a no-brainer. This lane is going to win. He goes BF sword to pink ward. That's literally the item buys. Caitlyn buys a pink ward. He buys a BF sword. And what happens?
They go even.
No, he gets a CS deficit after like 6 minutes. It's like a small one. He's like behind by 8 or 10.
Yeah.
But you're just like, what? How could that be possible?
Well, part of it is like, what is this lane? What is your con Jhin? How do you set up the Jhin? Like, that's what makes Jhin, like, dumb, is you have, like, Zyra who can poke through the creep wave, and then your W goes to the creep wave. It's like, Rakan has his Q, which doesn't.
And the thing is, I don't even care if the setup is weird. I want them to try the setup because they have such a big margin for error. They have such a huge item.
Right, like, you can W in as the Rakan to start the
and
fight.
fail the W and still might come out ahead because your Jhin is just God.
Yeah.
But they didn't try any of that. They just stayed back and didn't do anything, and eventually Caitlyn just farmed out the lane. And it's like a mind-blowing thing where you're just like, oh, wait, they did nothing.
And like, so they have a 2K gold lead at like 4 minutes in the game. It stays 2K almost the entire game until like Fiora, like we said, had the early kill, should have been doing better, wasn't really, and then they try and make a coordinated play up around the top side of the map. Afro, godlike save, ults Darshan to save him, rotates up there, gets the kill on Lorlo, and that's like when TL's spirit for the entire season died. I feel like it died on that play. If TL bounces back from this series, even though it's the first series that they're playing in this season, they have mental fortitude of a god.
Yeah, I this is like the true test.
This is like mental boom. You got the biggest advantage you could ever get in your first game of the split after sucking dick as a team last split. And you throw the game, you just lose it. And it's like, what? How do you have any confidence after that as a team?
It would be okay if I saw them go for plays and they failed. I would be like, okay, you know what? They tried, dude. I respect that. Hopefully later they can fix these problems and we can do it. No, they didn't try for anything. In fact, you're just like, oh, COG's macro is not bad. You know, they got 2 towers top lane.
They get the Rift Herald, they push with the mid lane, they kill some people.
You're just like, oh, COG played the macro pretty well. And then like the entire time you just forget about TL. Because for the most part of the game, COG's just playing against themselves. They're not even playing against another team.
I can't even tell you like the defining characteristics of TL at this point. Like, there's nothing. Like, I don't know what this team does on any level. I guess game 2, if you want to get into it, like they had Twitch, and it took CLG longer to end because Piglet had a couple good openings in team fights, which is kind of what we were saying. Like the meta's better for Piglet, but the rest of the team is still like way too bad. It seems like.
And just as an aside, this is Reignover's still one of the only Rengar players in North America. Not even in like almost all the major regions. You see Reignover and Chaser being Rengar players.
There was one other Rengar.
It's Chaser.
I thought it was another one. Yeah, I'm crazy.
No, there's only 2.
Yep.
And for the most part, Rengar got nerfed hard. The fact that he's still playing this champ, this is just a comfort pick for him. And if you're playing like comfort pick, you have to be able to like transition it to being good for your team. And he didn't feel like he even played the game.
No, he was invisible. He had like that one gank on the top side, right? And that was the one that Afro saved him from. The other thing was like he got caught in the jungle when the enemy team just took Rift Herald, and that's like what led. Like the gold graph was like TL massive lead, hovers there for a while, goes up and down a little bit, and then there's like the Rift Herald play, and it's just like where he gets picked 4v5, drop the Rift Herald, siege up mid, they take 2 turrets, and then TL before Reignover's even back tried to force a 4v5 and give up a bunch more kills. It was just awful play.
So I don't really want to go too deep into this. TL's first game looked terrible. Game 2.
Not much to say, dude. This was one where CLG didn't fuck up super hard early game, grabbed a lead, and then they should have been able to close it faster. Like we said, there was a little bit of a struggle. Piglet was admittedly playing decent.
And to be honest, this is like the AD we want Piglet on. Like this is a hyper carry AD carry.
Playmaking.
He doesn't need the lane super well because Doran's shield is OP right now, and he can just scale to the point where not only can he make the plays himself, he can Twitch is a 1v5 champion, actually, if you get the right items.
Yeah, and you get the right look. Because you still can't just like appear next to a Syndra.
Yeah.
That happened once at the end.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's the case where he really he like should shine in this a little bit, but they just don't do anything. Like they tried to swap up to the top side, they failed the 1-for-1 in the dive. Like Darshan was able to hold out versus 3 people, absorb all the pressure, and it allowed them to get the first turret bottom.
I'm so mad because when you watch that series unfold, well, 1, there's mechanical errors all over the place, but 2, if you're just watching, I'm watching Golden Glue do this because like he's my boy. I want him to play well. But he opens the thing off with his W as he's approaching the fight, and you should know never to do that if you're around creeps because the W automatically goes to creeps. So as he's going in, the W, which is your only ability, which isn't point like it's guaranteed damage, goes to the creep wave as it crashes to the tower. And not hitting it doesn't hit the champion, which he guaranteed would have killed if he had just W'd correctly.
What Scarra is saying is this was a horrible dive, and TL looks like a horrible team. And I don't know how much more you want to talk about this.
Yes,
because I don't.
I don't want to talk about this at all, honestly. Like, TL, this game almost put me to sleep.
They didn't put me to sleep. They, like, crushed my soul. I was like, well, I guess it's a 9-team league right now. That's how I felt. No team looked worse to me this week so far.
Oh, God.
We can have that debate some other time.
Okay.
We'll have that at the end, obviously, in the power rankings tomorrow.
All right, let's go.
Echo Fox versus FlyQuest. 2-game series in favor of Echo Fox, though it was a lot closer than the 2-0 sometimes make you think. Both games were relatively scrappy, with like each team having advantages at different points.
So what I wanted to look for from Echo Fox here is like, how did they change their identity a little bit? Do they go with what they did last split? You just turned out they just refined the machine they had last split to a T, which is put Keith on Ashe, and then their mid and their jungle just pop off, and then they just refine their objective control around the two major objectives, Dragon and Baron, and then they win games that way. And it's not even a terrible strategy. From the games or the 2 games you saw today, it works.
Yeah, and I think the thing I liked was especially the second game. But in the first game, FlyQuest was like doing a lot of plays around mid, and they were actually getting like small leads. But then Acadian slowly started picking up kills. Wasn't even like great plays. He was just like there when people were low and started like 4-1 after like 10-15 minutes, and then like Froggen started getting involved on LeBlanc, and then like you said, the two of them just super hard carried.
Yeah, and you can even look at the kills at the end of the game. What was the scoreline for both the jungle and the mid lane? 7-1, 7-1. And Keith has like 1 or 0 kills, and the rest of the team has like 1 or 0 kills, and it's literally a 2-man show. I thought this game was a little bit scared because it elongated itself a little bit too long for my taste. Mm-hmm. But Froggen on LeBlanc is actually Froggen's just a good player. And so usually what happens is it starts going toward, especially in this type of a comp, the LeBlanc has to perform very well to be able to find the picks and the looks by herself. Turns out Froggen's just a good player and a good LeBlanc player, so he's able to find these looks to open up the game for his team to be able to find picks. And eventually, Keith will be able to find the opening with his team, with LeBlanc, to be able to blow open a team fight.
And I think it was the case where FlyQuest, after like a couple of those plays going bad, it was just over. I mean, their team comp is pretty much like a pick comp where you have Zyra, Elise, Jhin, and then what was the last one? It was
Karma.
Karma, yeah. Oh, it was Karma mid. Okay, I hate this team comp the more I think about it.
I didn't like it because it's like the same reason why you don't really run Lulu Jhin.
Yeah.
Because Jin's not really a hyper carry until you get to 4, 5, 6 items.
But even in that situation, like the reason you put a shield with an AD carry is so that they can play more up in the fight and they can be a little riskier. But Jhin, no matter how fed he is, he's still so far back for the most part that he shouldn't be in threat range.
Yeah, it's so like you'd want to be running a Karma support with let's say a Kog'Maw or a Jinx, a Caitlyn.
Even like an Ashe makes sense on some level because Ashe's DPS is fine and she's auto attack reliant. Jhin has his R, his W, like all these other ways to contribute.
Yeah, so I wasn't a huge fan of it. I could see where it'd work out, but just didn't for them.
And also Turtle on the Jhin, worth mentioning. He had some good plays in the bot lane. He flashed in aggressively a couple times for kills.
And sometimes it was, for the most part, I have no problem with him throughout the series.
I have a small problem in game 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, at least the first game, I had no problem with him at all. And then the second game, well, open thought.
Let's go to the second game, unless you have something else for first.
No, nothing.
It was the Acadian Froggen show.
Yes.
Game 2, there's a level 2 cheese gank, which I love. Just red buff to bottom. It's just hilarious. And then Froggen is like shitting on mid because the draft out of FlyQuest sucks. Why would you blind Kassadin?
Okay, to be honest, it's because right now Kassadin only has 2 counter picks. One of which is not even a hard counter until 6. It's a very, very soft counter.
Which one's that?
Talon.
Yeah.
The other counter, there's 3. So it's Jace, Talon,
the physical damage carries.
Yeah, and whatchamacallit?
Lucian.
The problem with Lucian is a hard counter pick. It's a matchup where, look at Hai's itemization this game. He didn't even itemize badly. He started D-Shield. He opened it to double cloth armor refillable on the next buy. So he went as defensive as he possibly could, lasted pretty much as well as he possibly could without taking too much damage. It's just that bad of a matchup.
But like, okay, so the first rotation at Echo Fox is Karma, Ivern, and Ashe, which is like, are they building to protect the Keith comp with an Ashe pick? This sounds horrible. And then they take Galio, and it's like, oh my god, it really is a protect the Keith comp. I can't wait to see the Orianna mid or something that's coming, even though it gets banned out by FlyQuest because they're like, oh, they're going protect. They counterpick the Fiora, or they counterpick the Galio with Fiora. Perfect counterpick. Now you just need to 4-1, hold on versus this stupid shield comp, and let Fiora win you the game. And then they take Kassadin. Take any control mage there.
Okay, so I don't mind a deviation to a 1-3-1 comp, because it essentially does similar things, but it may be harder to play. But I don't think a blind Kassadin here is something that like...
If you counterpick the mid lane with Kassadin and ended up with the 1-3-1 comp, I can see it. I hate it blind.
It's mainly that I don't think a lot of people would be able to play the hard, like, not many people... No.
Isn't it spammed by a lot of pros? Like, Bjergsen's spamming it right now.
But for the most part, if you look at their solo queue records, from what I understand, it's not very good. Like, it's in a situation where it's like, I can understand them not knowing it, because especially in the first game, they banned Kassadin. So it's like a situation where, okay, maybe they don't know how to specifically counterpick, we should blind. They do, they just get punished. Really,
well,
really
the other
hard.
problem is not just like, okay, you get punished with Illusion, but it perfectly fits Echo Fox's comp.
Yeah.
Because it's like, now Keith doesn't need to be the one going wild in team fights. Froggen will, and we'll just protect Froggen. And Froggen shits on this game so hard. He's up 50 CS at like 10 minutes. He has double buffs because he's with Ivern, crapping on a Kassadin, pushing in mid all the time. He had 40% of his team's damage in the game.
And the thing is, he still almost lost because they picked Fiora or Galio into Fiora. It's just something that's like, oh god, dude. Fiora's best matchup right now is into Galio, because not only does she counterpick tanks, everything Galio does is so telegraphed, Fiora can just easily repost anything.
And the only reason that this game doesn't completely go to shit for Echo Fox is because like they start vision controlling around Baron, and instead of like blue trinketing Baron to make sure they don't need to check, they blue trinket a random Ivern brush in the middle of mid lane. Oh, they're not there, and then it's fucking Turtle walks right next to that brush, and then they're just in the mid lane brush on the side, and they kill him. And then that starts this snowball where like they keep forcing around mid lane, Echo Fox keeps checking, and Froggen keeps killing them. And it was like, if you guys just sat back, play that as slow as you can, and let the Fiora win, the game's over. And it still was hard from there because the Fiora counterpick's so brutal.
Also, on top of that, I think Froggen really got super greedy with his item build. He did not have to go like the... okay, I understand it. If you're ahead, you don't have to build defensive. Completely reasonable. He gets the Bork. I think he went like Bork Cleaver, very, very standard. He went the Xell item. He went the Rapid Fire Cannon. Okay, he went the IE. All right, dude, you're against... The only way you could possibly die is the Kassadin. The AD, Kassadin, the least. So like, I'm assuming at some point during his item build, there's a Maw in that build. And going into the 5th item, he's building his last item because he has boots. He's building another Xell item. And I'm just like, Jesus. If you watch how the team fights...
Well, at the base, when he died, they could have just won.
Yeah. I was just like, wait, you 100% guarantee the win if you build defensively. Like, 100%.
Yeah.
And he did not have to do it. Like, this Kassadin literally doesn't do anything against MR plus Ivern. It just is impossible to play. I think they had Karma too, right?
Yeah. It was Karma, Ivern, and Galio. Mm-hmm. The only thing I'd say that Froggen could have done better in the early game was it took 18 minutes to take the mid turret. I don't know why you just don't call Ivern mid in 2v2 and take the turret faster.
That sounds really easy. Yeah, I think you build around the spike on the second buff rotation. So the red buff, double red, double blue, and just walk mid, easy tower.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I thought they could have done better early game. But other than that, Echo Fox had to do some crazy bullshit backdoor call to win the game because like the one time they were in the base, Froggen died.
And people just like didn't focus the Nexus. It could have died anyways, but it was really poorly played. But overall, thoughts on the teams for the series?
Echo Fox looks like a little bit better version of what we saw at the end of last split. Still very mid-jungle centric. But like you said, Keith on Ashe duty doing all right. And then Froggen and Cadian looking okay. And then I thought their mid-game shot calling was a little cleaner. This time.
I thought their ability to control objectives was a little bit better. Definitely did from last split. And you brought up the same point I was going to make. They're the same thing as last split, but a little bit better.
All right. We will move on then to C9 versus TSM.
Dig versus MV.
Dig versus MV. All right, we're saving the best for last. I got you.
Oh, okay.
Oh god, this was a stinker of a series a little bit. Let's not go too hard on this one, huh?
Okay.
So this was a 3-game series. Dig versus Envy. Dig 1 game 1, 1 game 3. I mean, there's really not too much to say for Envy. They look a little bit better than last split, maybe just because Pyrion looks okay, but...
I mean, Pyrion's not even their main mid laner, so I don't want to say too much. I'm pretty sure he's going to split time with Niski.
We'll see. I mean, who knows?
I don't know how to say his name.
Niski?
I think the first game was just an Ivern game.
Yeah.
From Lyra, and Ivern's not a character which can hard carry games.
And they need him to.
He makes his team better.
He's literally like I'm going to annoy your jungler in the early game, maybe get a gank or two off, and turn into a annoying support bot in the mid game.
Yeah. And
they need him to like snowball early, become fed, make monster plays in the mid game, and hard carry. For the most part, that's how they need to work.
And throughout the series, generally, teams are just very slow at being able to blow up. Especially like when you look at these games, there's like 18 minutes, 14 minutes where there's 2 kills. And it's not because they're playing the macro game so well, they're training sides of pressure, and they're both getting objectives, and that's how it's done. It's more like they don't know what they're doing, and then finally at some certain point, like a game gets turned, or a gank gets turned, or a Thresh starts something, or
there's just random fucking Barons like this game. And Dig just went for 2 Barons because they were like a little bit ahead off some early scraps and stuff, and then like they just did a good enough job of keeping Lyra out of the pit. But like the first one, he had a legitimate smite steal chance with that Baron. They build a good gold lead, and then they go back to Baron Force again. This time they do a little bit better job of keeping Ivern out of the pit, but once again, he almost gets a smite steal.
Before we get to this, I'm going to talk a little bit about Big. So I don't actually know what they could have done in some of these games without his Thresh. Especially the first game, it really felt like he started every single fight possible.
A lot, yeah.
He started, even the fights which got turned. He started the bot lane initial look with his jungler. They ran in together. He gets the hook first. It gets turned completely. He over 2. He gets 2. Pyrion, for the most part, his positioning isn't super great.
But the mid one was... He got hooked there.
Yeah, he got hooked there. I think he got hooked twice. Or anyways, Big ended up starting a lot of fights for him to actually be able to close out the first game. He looks okay. Like, I know that a lot of people are just giving him a lot of shit. I don't know how good he is. Generally, I just thought he played all right. And I don't really know if he's as bad as what people are saying.
All right, I'm going to take a timeout on this to fucking respond to Josh going in on me in chat. Chat's randomly saying I'm bronze. I've never been bronze. I just don't play solo queue right now. I was diamond season 4 with Josh and I duo queuing there. Motherfucker acted like he carried me there. It was a team effort. All right, and then I just stopped giving a shit, and I barely played the next 2 seasons. So, go fuck everybody saying I'm bronze and Josh and all that shit. Motherfuckers. Anyway, so then game 2 happens.
Continue.
Did you have anything else to say for game 1?
No, game 1 was really just me saying, okay, they don't know how to start fights, and without Thresh, I don't even know if they could have started fights, actually.
Yeah, if Big wasn't playing decent...
Yeah, then they just don't do anything, which gets me really scared for this series.
And I think you can say overall, too, like, he was probably the one being like, let's do Baron. Like, I don't see anyone else in that team saying that.
Yeah, it's honestly very scary for me watching this game, because I'm just like, if the rest of the series is like this is going to be a bad series.
Yep. So, game 2, Envy does not put Lyra on a supportive jungler. They put him on Lee Sin. And to be fair, actually, while he was pretty important in the first bot skirmish, it was a counter gank that was pretty telegraphed. He turns it for 1 kill, and then Pyrion has a really nice roam down to get the 2nd kill, so it's 2 for 1.
This is the game where Pyrion's on Talia?
He's on Talia.
Oh, and they just slam bot lane.
Yeah, and they just use Talia.
Hard.
So, like, the counter gank helped set up the initial roam, but then Pyrion made multiple roams bot lane. They destroy bot lane. They smash that. They stall out pretty hard over the course of this game, but then Pyrion has a good wall around Baron to get them that, and then he has a good wall at the middle inhibitor turret to get them that. And as long as this game took, it wasn't that bad. It was relatively clean, I'd say, out of Envy.
I still think both these teams have trouble closing out games. But,
for sure.
But this is something where it's like I just liked Pyrion's play. You know, it seemed very consistent, and maybe I didn't get that much from their old mid laner.
I think a lot of things this series for me was because I held Ninja and like probably even like biasly too low of a regard, and Pyrion looked good, so that's why I felt better about Envy in the series even though they lost still.
All right, moving on to the third game.
This was once again basically 2 team fight comps. Envy with Zyra Khan, Syndra, Jace, Ivern. Oh, wait, no, I looked at the wrong game. I'm crazy. It was Varus, Lee, Shen, Thresh, Cassio. It's like a late game team fight comp, kind of. And then with a little bit of pick-off potential, Karma, Rengar, Ashe, Tahm Kench, Rumble. Both teams mostly team fight comps with pick-off potential. A little bit more pressure for Dig.
How exactly did this game go?
So it was a pretty even game, and then there was at 11 minutes there was the dragon fight where Rumble on some day gets like the greatest TP flank.
I was watching this live with Josh, and once that went down, we were just like, "This game's over," but it wasn't.
Yeah, that was the sad part. It took him so long to win this game.
I actually thought Dig was gonna lose 100.
Especially when they won that Baron fight, Envy did.
Okay, so the way this game played out, nothing happens for the most part till 11 minutes. At 11 minutes, they take a dragon fight where you see the godliest Rumble ulti flank of your life. They get 4-0 at dragon, and the game's securely in their hands.
I'm with you.
Okay? Then the next 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 13 minutes happens, nothing happens.
And then...
in fact, this is what happens in the next 9 minutes. They get Rift Herald. They use it top lane.
Holy shit, that is the worst.
Varus kills it, and they don't get any damage on mid tower, and that was their play. And then they got one dragon.
So some people are talking about, like, why don't you send it like a cannon creep? Because it sucks.
No, it's possible to do that if you're like dragons up and you really want it, or if you get the Rift Herald at 17 minutes or past. You send a bot lane to prep for a 5-man Baron attempt. Very early force. But those are possible, the only two scenarios.
But it's still not that good because the team will just put their top laner down there. They'll deal with Rift Herald, and if he needs to teleport to the Baron play, he will.
But it's honestly, it's like more reasonable than what they did here. This was the worst Rift Herald uses in the entire week so far.
It might have worked if, like, while Varus was top clearing, they force a 5-man engage mid. But they didn't. They just tried to siege, and Cassio just wave cleared. And it was like, what are you doing?
It was so bad. And that's all they did in the 9 minutes. They did one dragon, one Rift Herald that literally got cleared by Varus, and they didn't get mid tower.
Yeah, it was awful. The next play that they try to force is, like, they Tahm Kench the Ashe on top of the Varus, and then gets a Shen ult on top of him, so that gets turned. They sit there for like another 10 minutes, and then they do it again, but this time instead bring Rumble, who's actually good in this situation, and then use the Ashe to hit the Varus with an ult from far away. And then they get like a 3-0, and then they get Baron. And then you're like, okay, good, this game's over. And it takes them like 20 more minutes, and then they lose a team fight at Baron versus the late game Cassiopeia, and you're like, oh my god, this game's over. And then they get the Elder, Dig gets the Elder Dragon, wins a team fight, and someday has another monster teleport, and they wins the game.
It's something where if you're a Dig fan, you're not super happy about how this game works. Like, a win's a win, but at the start of the season, you want to be winning with clear... Or you don't even mind losses if you have points where you can improve upon. I don't necessarily think they had much large improvement from the split before in the offseason.
And it's not like a clear cut of like, oh, they're going to improve at this stuff. Like CLG, 2-0, they got the wins. They didn't look great, but there's like a couple key things where like Dardoch can play better in the early game, which is what he's known for. And like their late game macro can improve, things that we know CLG gets good at.
And then you see like Afro's current form and Darshan's current form, and you're like, okay, they stayed consistent from last playoffs, which is a good sign for them.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can point at. Dig, not the case, where it's like inconsistent shot calling, a lot of brute forces, lost some late game team fights with leads, didn't snowball at all.
Yeah, bad like you can even argue that like their Baron control or their ability to close out the game is one of the worst that you saw of any of the teams that you saw. Like Echo Fox had a better way to close out games, and it was just like Jesus. I then like almost any like a lot of their proactive playmaking. It sucks when their newest member, Big, is the person who carries a lot of their initiation. And without him, it's like they don't.
It was
do
basically
anything.
like Someday is still a monster, which is what we knew from last season, and like Big might be a little bit better of a playmaker than expected. And that's what you're hoping on is gonna get you get you through playoffs. I don't know.
I don't like it.
Me neither. Anyways, ready for the last series of the day?
This is actually the good one.
Define good.
Better than the one we just talked about.
Better than TL CLG as well, I guess. Not saying much.
Okay, all right.
All right, TSM versus C9. This is a 2-0 for TSM. Pretty decisive. relatively clean. They stomped one game, stalled out a little bit, and then closed it out quickly. Second game, fell behind early, came back in the game, won once again relatively quickly.
Yeah, they won off a very special Baron call by C9.
It was a curious decision to abandon Sneaky alone with only an Olaf, while the rest of their front line went on to
we can cover that when we get every game.
Good point.
Two.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go to game one. And I actually want to talk about, so there's a bunch, I don't really think there's too much to hit on in the draft. Lulu, Kate, Kennen, Olaf Talia, ᵐᵉ, J4, Lee, Cassio, whatever.
So the only thing to talk about is you start to realize that ᵐᵉ is a legit duo, and people are taking early in the draft. Either second 2 picks on blue side, first 2 picks on red, purple side, or you're going to see this duo a decent amount, and they're good.
You will. The problem is, Sneaky and Smoothie apparently are not as good as Double Lift and Biofrost.
And that's a question that you have to ask yourself going into the series, like how good is Doubles laning? Turns out he's still a monster.
Yeah, he's still a monster. So what happens this game? You have the J4 Kennen counter pick, and what this is good for is like you don't straight up win the 1v1, but you have really good gank assist to fuck the Kennen up as he tries to push and get his own advantage. But because Double Lift and Biofrost are playing the lane so aggressively bottom, like everyone loses flash level 1, level 2, aside for, I think, ᵐᵉ. So then what happens is they're like, contracts, come down here and gank this shit. They blow their flashes trying to gank it. They absorb the gank, a little bit of a misplay by Smoothie. And now the jungler has no flash. He goes for an invade. Sven gets a kill. During this, they're continuing to play aggressive bot lane. They get a double kill. And all of a sudden, TSM is smashing the bot side of the map solely off the fact that it's now Double Lift instead of Wild Turtle.
And like you said before, one of the biggest things to look at is like, by Double Lift being on the team, Sven Scarra will naturally look better because he lanes better. And so, do you think Sven would have been able to get that kill without bot lane blowing drawing so much pressure? Contracts had to come and blow his flash. There's no way.
Yeah.
But because it happened, wow, Sven got off to a great start, and Double Lift smashed his lane, got first tower with a 30 CS. What you call it? Lead. Yeah. I was thinking deficit for some reason. 30 CS lead, first tower in like 8-9 minutes.
And then what is the benefit of this is because previously, Sven played around top side so often that like if you have one of these matchups where Kennen doesn't want jungler help, he wants to 1v1 the Jarvan the entire time, because there's so much focus down the bot side, he gets to do that, whereas previously they would play around top. So this buys Haunter time to get like a 20 CS lead over the Jarvan and kind of smash him in lane while your bot side smashing, while you're making these blue buff invades and killing Jensen. Like all this shit is going right, and it looks phenomenal for TSM.
And when they finally do address Haunter, he has like the 20-30 CS lead, and he dies once, but it's still okay.
He still like flashes out, and that's it. Like the lead is already accrued at this point. So this is one of those games where like Double Lift just becomes like a black hole of attention from C9, and it frees up the rest of TSM to be like godlike. The only problem is he also goes bottom 22 minutes in the game and gives up a Baron. But we know we can look over that.
Yeah, I think TSM still has like a little bit of that rocky mid game that they had problems with before. Mm-hmm. But by having such a strong early game threat as Double Lift come into the team, they can maybe brute force a lot of the situations they couldn't before. Because if literally the call is, let's just group up here, by having him being that strong, and they can randomly 5-man stuff or be able to brute force calls that they couldn't before with a weak bot lane.
Yeah,
like a weaker bot lane.
And so after they give up the Baron, it was just Double Lift you bottom 22 minutes into the game. C9 stalls out for a little bit, but they never really generate any plays. They just basically took the Baron off the map and sat on it. I think Smoothie might have had one good engage around mid lane with it, and they like kind of won a team fight. But then TSM just smashed them around Baron and Dragon after that.
Speaking about AD carries in the side lane, like this is something that Double Lift tends to do a lot.
Oh yeah.
And he saw not even the bot lane position, even when his team is like trying to make plays or C9 is trying to make plays, he's top lane split pushing on Caitlyn. You're just like, no other team does this. And the reason no other team does this is because it's not great to do that. They're doing stuff like a 1-3-1 with a Caitlyn, which isn't an optimal macro strategy at all.
Yeah.
But they can get away with it. And it's something that you should take note of, because it's like, this is not how you're supposed to play the game. They should have done a clean 4-1 with Kennen splitting. But just something that he tended to default to in his first game.
And it could be the case that as he gets more into the competitive scene flow again, he'll be like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't be top right now.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't be bot right now. Like I think they'll get better over the split.
It'll still be a problem because that's kind of the MO of Doublelift, that he sometimes struggles in side lanes, like why are you there moments. But other than that, I'm sure he'll improve at it. Going on to game 2, C9 look a lot better for the most part this game. Jensen does die early. They get the Syndra Echo matchup. He plays a little too far forward in lane, gets ganked and killed 3 minutes in.
Sounds kind of normal. No, not.
I mean, it shouldn't happen, but it happened in the finals. It happened again here. I feel like there's just some mental block of Jensen versus Bjergsen where he needs to prove himself. I've seen this out of other players where, like, sometimes in scrims, Phoenix would be playing against, like, somebody he thought was worse and would just try and, like, prove that he's better than him. And I think Jensen might get into that mindset a little bit where he's like, I need to prove I can match up versus Bjergsen. I'm going to play him hard in lane. I'm going to play up in his face.
I think it may have also been a lot of pressure from the first series when he saw his bot lane, which usually stable like a rock, right?
Oh, yeah,
just
usually.
get like flattened that game. He had to put a lot more pressure on him to try.
They had to change their draft. They had to ban Caitlyn early.
Yeah, which is like, Jesus, man, you guys really got pushed and pummeled that first game.
Yeah, Contracts had a better game. Also, Ray had a better game. He got a solo kill top versus Hanser, and then the repeat game.
Oh,
you want to talk about that?
I want to talk about Ray in general this game. So
sure.
I thought, outside of the solo kill, which, by the way, great solo kill, great pressure top lane to get the second kill, I thought he played terribly this game. He went 2-0
to
2-5.
2-5, yeah.
It was so bad. You just watch him, okay, well, he's going to go bot lane here, and he walks up too far, and he ganks, and he dies. Like, he just kills himself by extending too far without vision. And then he'll look to make plays around mid lane, and then he has no MR. So when he walks up, he gets Syndra ulted, and he just dies instantly. That happened twice, by the way. And so he had this great lead that his team helped him, like he accrued solo, and his team helped him accrue like more, and he couldn't extend the lead into actual impact in the game. I actually thought that, sure, Ray played early really well, but this is like the decision-making problem I have with Ray, where he couldn't be smart enough to find a way to extend his lead.
The problem especially comes with frontlining. When he is supposed to be like kind of doing that dance between like you can kind of hit me but I'm just out of range, it feels like he really struggles at that. Where like that's what a lot of good frontliners do is they pose the threat of their initiation while not taking too much damage. And it feels like he's kind of all in or not.
Yeah, he really lacks the ability to, or like the awareness to understand like how to space correctly.
Yeah. So anyways, despite that, C9 is still winning. They make like a TP play on the bottom with a roam. They get double kill, first turret. Things are looking good. There's like a later good engage around mid lane. And for the most part, C9's winning this game until 30 minutes in at the Baron.
They just do a very random Baron call. Okay, cool. Like if they just do a random Baron call, it's not even the worst case situation. But the worst case situation is how they play it out. The execution, everyone just goes everywhere. You just see like people go over two people go over the wall. Sneaky runs out of the pit, and like no one helps him.
Contracts is on Olaf, and just like I can't get over the wall, dude. Like
it's just like a nightmare situation because if you're a C9 fan, you're watching this and you're just like, wait, we're known to be like good in team fights, and we like help each other in team fights to be able to like do kite front to back most of the times. And this is just nothing. The monkeys running around. Everyone just died.
It was like, what is this target selection? It's like, okay, all 5 members are alive. You're trying to like get some turn off, but then the Baron's still healthy. You just all jump on the jungler. This isn't like it's low. We're gonna leave Contracts in the pit to smite while we distract the jungler. It was like we're just gonna fight, leave Contracts in the pit and Sneaky in the pit, and not go for their backline at all. Who, by the way, just got like shooting an Ashe arrow and Syndra's walking up on our 80 carry.
Yeah, and so if you're curious how this should have played out, okay, cool. If they want to do this, they shouldn't finish it for the most part. They should just turn off. They do a clean turn off with their team comp, which I'm pretty sure had enough hard CC. Wasn't Sneaky playing Ashe? What was he?
No,
playing?
he was a Xayah Rakan again. It was Xayah Rakan, Gragas, Olaf, Echo.
Oh, yeah, and Echo went over the wall with Gragas. Gragas went over the wall first, right?
Yeah, Gragas, Echo, and Rakan all go over the wall. And then he's just in the pit and gets Ashe arrowed. And then Syndra ults him. And then Olaf's like, I'm in the pit too. And then he dies to them. And this whole time, the rest of TSM is just kind of kiting around that front line.
Yeah, this is something where it's okay for them to do the call. They just need to do a turn off together. And they turned off in the most random way you could possibly think of.
Yeah, and after that, TSM kills them, takes Baron, grabs a bunch of turrets, siege up around the top side after getting like the bot inhibitor or whatever, and then they try and force an engage, but they're kind of far behind.
Yeah,
and TSM just fights front to back.
They're just too far behind that situation where they had a clean advantage beforehand.
Yeah, and they didn't do a dynamic like, oh my god, here's a flank and they're all knocked up and wombo combo with the parallel. It was just like, we're going to try and run through your front line. And like, to be fair, TSM didn't have a great front line. It's Kennen, Tom, Ash, Lee. But they're too far behind now, and they just kite that out.
So we were talking before about Rakan's initiating well.
Yeah.
This is a situation where even if Smoothie initiated well, which I think he had maybe 1 of 3 initiations where I was like, oh, that was pretty good. His team comp and his teammates couldn't follow up that well on it. And so it just wasn't as effective.
Yeah, definitely. And you can throw a little bit of shade at Sneaky as well. He's usually one of the guys who breaks out champions first. He's known for his Kalista was one of the first, his Jhin was one of the first, now his Xayah is one of the first that's seeing a lot of play. And it didn't look great. It just looked average. Not like super impressive though. Usually when he breaks out, you're like, I didn't realize the champion was that good. This is like, he looks worse than the other Xayahs I'm seeing around the world, which isn't what you normally know him for.
Yeah.
So C9, very disappointing first week out of them. It's like, I say it was cautiously pessimistic is how I put it. Where like, they were against, 2 of the best teams in the league in TSM and CLG. I could see them going 0-2. That was something in the realm of possibility, but the way they lost just looked bad.
Even looking at this situation, I expected them to lose against TSM because I was like, okay, they lost in the finals and TSM is just better now.
Yep.
But against CLG, I was like, there's a realm possibility where CLG wins, but CLG has to build up synergy, whereas they had the same roster. And my biggest problem is that C9's problems from last split are still there. Whereas like Ray isn't like a player who has like the perfect skill set outside of mechanics.
C9 hasn't improved in a year. That's the problem. I
think it's more like half the split to now. They struggled a lot with their growth.
They are the same team basically since summer playoffs when Impact was like solo killing everyone. Except now he's not solo killing everyone. The rest of the team is mostly the same. I don't know how you feel. Like, I don't think...
I think that the start of this split, they did not fine. I think they did good. It's that people have really high expectations of them from the start of the split because they're the only remaining roster from start of the spring split. So yeah. I think that's where people look down upon them. But I thought that they played well at the very beginning. And then, because they understood the meta, the draft.
We'll bring this discussion up again tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I disagree.
Okay.
So we'll talk more about C9 in the general sense tomorrow. Either way, 0-2 on the week, not looking great to start.
Yeah, they're looking really bad.
And that will conclude...
Wait, before we go too quickly, what do you think about TSM?
Oh, sorry, yeah, TSM. I think they look great. I think, for the most part, they have areas to clearly still improve on while having great strengths. Like, Doublelift is clearly a threat still in the bot lane. That's exactly what you want to see. Their shot calling still, like, probably not great, but that was never... They had good shot calling. Not aggressive enough on the world stage, but good enough to dominate domestically, and I think the same is true again.
I think it's the same exact thing. I don't think they'll be as dominant as last summer.
I don't think so either.
But they'll still be the team most likely to win.
Yep, I think you're looking at another TSM somebody finals.
Yep.
And sadly right now looking like CLG.
I'd be even okay with that.
I only say sadly because it's going to be like the 5th time it's TSM versus C9/CLG.
Right, that's true. I do wish even Echo Fox could somehow make it up there in Worlds would be nice, but...
I don't care. Somebody else. Get up there with TSM, please. P1, you want to do it? Great. Immortals? Sure. I don't know.
All right. Sorry, I interrupted your outro.
No, I mean, that's fine. That's going to do it for GLT this week. Holy Toledo. Greatest League Talkshow. Do we go on to do QA?
Yeah, we can do QA for a little
It's been fairly long. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to go too much longer, hold you guys here.
But tomorrow's show will definitely be a lot shorter. We're only covering 4 games, as well as the power rankings.
And I get here faster tomorrow. I'm sorry it took so long this time. I won't take this long ever again. I'll make sure I'll cut out in the meeting. Like, Riot doesn't care if I cut out. I'll cut out next time. I just lost track of time.
Yeah.
And Sundays, I have no meeting, so 4 games, then a power ranking, no long build-up.
Great.
Yeah, Saturdays tend to be our longer shows anyways, just because we have to cover so much. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess, guys, one thing that I didn't realize with our name change is that we can no longer be sponsored by Pretty Little Things.
It's kind of sad. I mean, we never got the sponsorship, though.
We never got the lingerie to do our Patreon shoot, guys.
Oh, that's where we're going with it?
Yeah, didn't you want to make some money off this thing?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if we made a calendar, you think people would buy it?
I know people would buy it.
We'll
Get
just
you
do.
in some lace.
We'll just answer questions basically from the chat. So, if you guys have anything that you guys are burning to ask, it doesn't have to be about LCS either. If you guys just want to know general things about us.
What do you think about Lucian as a flex pick? I guess she's actually competitive. I think that Lucian in general is overrated by the community because he's so good in solo queue. But in competitive, he tends to struggle against both Caitlyn and Ashe, as well as have neutral matchups against Varus. So he's not great as a flex. He's a possibility, but he's not high tier enough AD to be flexible.
The thing about flex picks is it needs to be something you can blind and then safely flex into both positions for the most part. And he is not that. Where like you can't. He's not like Gragas where you blind him and even if they counter pick it, it's not that bad. If you get your mid Lucian or your bot Lucian counter picked, it gets pretty bad pretty quick. So he's lacking that kind of was the absence of volatility. He's still too volatile to flex blind. So I wouldn't like it.
Will power rankings be based on weekly performance or overall?
I think we'll do weekly again. So if you guys aren't familiar, last season the way we did it was very narrowly focused on how the team looked that week. So for example, we did just on Thursday a power ranking on how we thought the season would look at the end. And we said C9 will be the number 2 team. But if we do our weekly power ranking tomorrow, you can expect C9 somewhere in the bottom half, most likely.
And TL would be like...
Well, we kind of put them there anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we'll create a new spot.
Yeah, they'll be, like, off the screen. But yeah, so it is heavily based on that week.
C9.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty funny name. Probably not 9th, though. All right. Well, we're still waiting on questions.
That aren't about me being bronze. Hilarious. Especially that one guy you just said every single time.
Oh my god. What do you think about
he's that guy who gets drunk at a party and tells the same joke to everyone. And you're just like, dude, shut the fuck up.
It's actually when you say, those like Reddit type things that people say over and over again,
yeah.
And then you hear it in real life once, and you're like, ooh.
Dude, that's Twitch chat emotes.
Well,
because literally,
I mean, kind of.
People
honestly.
in real life, I met someone when they seriously come up to me and they're just like, that move, pretty pog champ. I'm just like, oh.
You just get comfortable.
Yeah, I'm like,
well, I'll let it slide once, right? And then you're like, oh yeah, pocket. Mm-hmm. You do the Twitch thing, and then you're like, yeah, it was a really good play, Kappa, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, it's like I want TSM to lower me into my grave so they can let me down one last time. It's like it's everywhere. Everyone's tweeting it, and people still say it, and I'm like, Jesus, it's not funny. It was funny once.
That's just how jokes are. Good jokes get repeated so much they become like
bad jokes.
Yeah.
A lot of questions about the Echo Fox Challenger team. Do we want to take those on GLT?
I covered that in the pre-show, so I would say like not so much.
Yeah, I think generally like we're trying to keep this NALCS focused. We'll probably joke about it like, damn, you guys got shit on this week.
Yeah.
You think that's gonna happen, dude? You see our first round opponents? Yeah, they're pretty good.
All right, so just real quick. On this topic, we were talking about how good the Echo Fox Challenger team will do. I am of the opinion that like they will probably be somewhere 3 or 4 to 6. And some people are saying that they expect you guys to dominate and be like in the finals.
That's what some of the players on the team.
Some of the players think that on our team. Some of the community thinks that. People I respect in the community, like walking around the Riot offices today.
Really?
Yeah. Some people are like, "You guys gonna do what?" And I'm like.
I mean, also within the Riot office, they thought that FlyQuest was going to be 10th in that last split. So.
I mean, to be fair, I thought that too. I didn't say 10th, I said 8th. But I thought they weren't going to be good.
I think that generally, unless, especially right now where we don't have the correct positions sorted out, I can't be too optimistic.
Seems like
I'm just concerned, like any like mid game, I'm like,
I can do it, dude. I'm telling you, we're navigating the mid game, especially if I'm support. I can do it. If I'm jungle, or if I'm mid,
I believe in you,
support,
dude.
I'll navigate.
100% believe in you.
Especially if I'm mid or
Rift.
ahead, I can do it. But jungle, if I'm really far behind in the jungle, navigating mid game is really hard, like super hard. I don't know what it is. It's just hard position to navigate.
To decide your roles, guys, you should just queue up flex queue or something.
Dude,
and then have Darius maybe top, and then everyone else.
I'm just gonna do it with everyone, and then see how it works out. I do it with Darius a little bit. We lost those 2 games. I'm gonna do it with a couple other people. If we keep losing, at least I'm consistent.
Yeah, that's true. I saw something about Xayah, Rakan. How good are they, like, independent of each other?
Xayah is actually good.
Zaya's
actually like close to broken.
So people are saying like Rakan's supposed to be pretty dependent on Xayah.
I think it's just that since laning is so important, he's not as good. But if stuff starts getting banned out, if like Lulu and Karma get banned out, and
I don't see why he would be bad into Tom Kent. I think he would struggle into Thresh still probably.
Yeah, Thresh is just like a killer for bad supports, man. He straight up just like axes them. That's why it's hard to play Nami right now because everyone's playing Thresh. Where that's generally a good positive lane for Nami, but like the danger of Thresh.
Anytime you mess up, you're just instantly dead and you can't recover.
That's just how Thresh is. Actually, I'm surprised people aren't playing Thresh more.
I think NA is like they got a little bit better today, but when I was watching yesterday's game, I was like, are we behind the meta? Like we're still like super high prioritizing Lulu Karma.
And the thing is like everyone in NA got to high support by one-tricking Thresh. Literally like half the supports in NA are just Thresh one-tricks that picked up other.
So you thought you'd have higher Thresh priority, but only Dig had really high Thresh priority today.
Yeah, and when you think about like one of the reasons why Bar is not picked so much in other regions is because when you pick Bar into Thresh, you're asking to die.
Yeah,
like the Thresh just kills you.
He walks up Flay, and you're like, I don't do anything.
Yeah, it's like oh no.
Yeah, so I was a little surprised at all that.
7 Bunny. Oh man.
No.
Mm.
Just
you don't want the Scion. You were talking about the Scion.
No, that's Darius. But I'm not down for the Xerath support. He tried to convince me about that, and I'm like, no. I think Bunny's gone too far for the memes, like way too far.
Let's bring back 2015. Bunny.
Bring back the Thresh only one trick Bunny that highlight real Bunny.
Even the Gravity Bunny was like not bad with the Shen support.
Oh yeah, I was down for that, but the current one is like a little bit too memey for me, or a little too crazy.
Oh man.
Who will get to Worlds from NA?
Whoa.
TSM. Wow, what a surprise.
Yeah, well, obviously. But what about the other two? Based off week 1. Do you think there's a world where...
Oh, based off of week 1? Or,
well, not entirely based off week 1, but like, do you think C9 is actually threatened to not make Worlds right now?
No, I think they'll come back.
They'll make it.
Yeah.
It's because they got second, and so the points matter a lot. It means that usually whoever they have to beat out for the second place, it's actually so bad that COG didn't make top 4.
They need to basically make finals.
Because of that, because they're probably going to be one of the biggest threats this split. It still doesn't threaten C9 unless they make finals.
Yeah. And
that's great, because it means C9 just takes the second spot for free.
No.
Yeah, so I think there's a high chance that CLG is probably number 3 team. You think there's a world P1 makes it?
I've never thought the CLG like P1 matchup was good for P1.
That's head to head, but I think
in terms of just like straight like the strength of team, there's a situation where I thought it was possible when CLG was playing super bad, but now I don't see it. Maybe if Inori improves a lot. You know?
I think Arrow and like Ryu are maybe good enough to get a team to Worlds, but not with like the supporting staff looking so bad right now. Mm-hmm. And I think Zig will bounce back, but he's like we said, more of a role player type. He's like, oh, he's playing Kled. This is annoying. We're not used to this.
It really does depend on like Shady and Inori to like have breakouts.
Really
I don't see that so far.
What do you guys think about FlyQuest then?
Ooh. Well, this is a team that I always thought was like not super star-studded by individual players, but I also think that generally people just underrate the ability to be able to navigate both early, middle, and I'm not gonna say it.
Are you talking about someone shot calling on the team?
No, I'm talking about someone who's able to.
Yeah,
well,
like
a navigator.
Yeah.
Someone who's able to like.
Who would that be?
Would you call like a navigator or someone who's like telling the team what to do though? Like if the rest of the team is on the boat, the navigator captain, you know, is probably decisively telling the other members on the ship what to do. Like throw the sails, paddle this way, fire the cannon.
In some way, shape or form. But I wouldn't say he's.
But who would be the captain on that team, making all these critical decisions?
Probably high, but I wouldn't necessarily say.
So you wouldn't call him like the high shot calling being important, right?
No, oh my god. I just don't want to say it like that because it feels like it's just like not the reason why He's a great navigator.
Hey guys, thanks for watching GLT.
He's a great
that wraps it up.
navigator.
Yeah.
All right, well, we just ruined the show.
Yeah, you want to call it there?
Yeah, let's call it there.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching the first official episode of GLT for the summer split. VODs will be coming up tomorrow. Is your editor good to go?
I will double check, but I did warn him a couple days in advance, almost a week in advance.
Excellent. So we'll probably have a VOD of the show up on the GLT YouTube, no longer on Scarra's.
Yep.
So you can find this there. We'll do SoundCloud later in the week. I'll actually get back to doing that because I was kind of slacking. But thank you guys for watching. We'll be back tomorrow as well after the LCS. I'll be back faster this time, covering the games and doing the power rankings.
We're doing 4 games, the power rankings, and that's when we'll
talk about C9 and
I
TL.
was just gonna be like shit on teams. I'm like, you know what? That's a little bit harsh.
That's when we shit on teams.
Yeah,
especially.
It's true.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's where Tony will actually come into chat and just like wait for us to talk about CLG.
I'm telling you, he's gonna have one hand on the volume and the other hand, somewhere else. And
and the thing is like I can't even say anything because
we'll mention CLG last, just so he has to watch the entire episode.
Yes,
Ooh,
absolutely.
You think he'd be on the edge of his seat?
Shut up.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
See you guys tomorrow. Throw a follow on all our social medias and shit.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. End screen.
Mute Mike.
We got some outro music, dude.